Double digits of the triple digits.
Double digits of the triple digits?
110, man.
Ooh.
10 episodes past 100. Can you believe it's been 10 weeks?
It feels like
Since
when you
our
say
centennial?
that, it's episode 100 kind of feels like you're starting over, right? And then
does.
you think 10 episodes and you're like, man, that's nothing when we've done 100.
Right.
But then you think about it, it's 10 weeks.
It is.
That's
I
a
know.
long time.
That's what I'm saying. It's been 10 weeks since our centennial, and that is a long time.
Our Snarf-tennial.
Snarf-tennial. Isn't that what I named the episode?
I don't think so, but
I think it is.
you should have.
I don't know if I did or not, but either way, yeah, we're back in it. 110, starting now. And all of the holidays are over. We're not going to speak of those again.
No, we're going to move on and pretend like they never existed.
Exactly.
No, actually, they were wonderful. But
Yeah, they were wonderful. I had a lot of time off, and that was great. But
we're done. I mean, it's a new year. It's a new time.
yeah, it's a new life.
Yeah.
It's a new beginning.
Yeah.
That's the way people think of it for some unknown reason. I saw, again, I'm big on TikTok. You know this.
Yeah.
I saw a lady posted a TikTok that said she was talking about how, I've been stuck in the house for like 8 months, doing absolutely nothing, having no ambition, basically stuck in this depression. She's like, but then January 1st came around and you throw all of that out of the window for no reason whatsoever other than it's like a non-existent date that everybody starts new.
Yeah.
And she's like, now I feel great. And I went outside and I took a walk and I got all of this like ambition to start this project.
Like, it's a
and
new
do
year.
this thing.
I can actually go outside now.
Yep.
And you're like, you could have the whole time.
Yeah, right. You absolutely could have. But for some reason, there's a lot of places that are still like closed around here, obviously, because of the
I guess
COVID
I don't
thing.
really live in the extended world, so I don't really go anywhere or do anything.
Yeah, that's
so.
I mean, except for New Orleans, Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah, I'm going
to
to Florida in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so, or 3 weeks.
Right. So about you not doing anything.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
I mean,
you just mean like you don't go to Walmart or any of the restaurants close to us.
Actually, I've been out and about quite a bit lately.
Yeah, I know. So I don't understand why you just said that.
I don't either.
No, but Casey's for some reason. So I frequent the Casey's here in town, and they're closing the kitchen from 2 to 4 every day.
Oh, because 2 to 4 is the Corona hour.
I was wondering because
Yeah.
I've heard that.
That's the most contagious time of day.
Yeah, the witching hours of Corona are 2 to 4 in the afternoon.
It's probably just because they're having like staffing issues.
That's what I assumed. But then I started thinking like maybe it's like their downtime in the afternoon as well. Like it's a lower, like
maybe they're not making any money.
a lower period.
Not a lot of pizzas getting sold between 2 and 4.
But then I rethought this because I was there at 2:30 and our school gets out at 2:10, and at 2:30 there are a lot of people at Casey's because they're.
Yeah, but are they buying food?
I wanted to get pizza today. I went there. I was like, man, I want a slice of pizza because I'm fat and I don't have any resolutions that say I'm going to lose weight for this month. And went there like, yeah, I could get some pizzas.
I could get a 2:30 pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was all dark. It's like black. It's like, and I asked the lady, I was like, kitchen's closed, huh? Like you're done with the kitchen now, huh? She's like, oh yeah, it's closed from 2 to 4. And there was like 3 other people behind me, and we all kind of looked at each other, like wondering why. But I was like, I'm not gonna get, I'm not gonna get into this conversation. I'm just gonna say okay and leave with my bag of Funyuns and gallon of milk and go home.
Just stand in the parking lot, shoving Funyuns in my face and guzzling out of a gallon of milk.
Yeah, I literally stood in front of the cashier, just dumped milk in my face, just for spite.
I've had the opposite experience as you because this week I started a diet.
Along with 98% of the country.
Of the world.
Yeah,
and I've stuck to it all week. I'm down 3.5 pounds.
Really?
Yeah. I'm just like not doing keto.
No,
but
it's not worth it.
I'm doing like I'm using an app called MyFitnessPal.
Oh, I love that app.
I'm logging all my food. Mm-hmm. And so I have it set right now for 1,700 calories a day, which is what it recommended to me. I'm gonna start working out too, so I'll up that probably at that point, but I haven't really this week that much. So I'm like, man, that is gonna be it's going to be terrible. 1,700 calories, like, that's going to be awful.
You think?
It's so many calories. Like, I'm eating, like, all I do is I don't eat breakfast.
Right.
I eat a salad for lunch. I eat whatever I want for dinner. And at the end of the day, I'm like, you still have 500 calories.
I know.
And I'm like, 500?
I need to get into this. You need to keep me accountable, Chris.
Yeah.
And do that.
So
Because
I've just been shocked by it because, like, I enjoy salad. First off, I like making a good salad. I don't like salad at restaurants. They don't make them the way that I like them.
well, how do you like them?
I like
Explain to me your salad preference.
You want okay?
I want to know.
Preferably spinach.
I
right?
love baby spinach.
But I'll do a spring mix too. Either one.
You know, I'm a big fan of a spring mix. Amy isn't. So I'm the only one that eats
Just
the
half
spring mix.
spinach and half other lettuce.
Oh no, there's like arugula in it, spinach, regular like romaine, I think.
Yeah.
And
The purple stuff.
Yeah, some other purple thing.
Purple drink.
Purple drink.
So yeah, I'll start out with that, and then I'll do either some feta or maybe blue cheese, but typically feta cheese.
You do the feta because you're so in love with Boba Fett.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why.
I'll also add a little bit of shredded cheddar too, maybe if I'm feeling crazy.
I love me cheese.
6 to 8 pitted Kalamata olives.
Oh, I thought you meant tablespoons of dressing.
No. And then some cherry tomatoes. Dash those
Nice.
in there. Maybe some bacon bits if I'm feeling lucky.
Frisky.
And some kind of low calorie dressing. Like right now I'm eating a honey Dijon or a honey mustard.
I love honey mustard. Anything
Dressing.
with honey mustard in the name, I'll eat it.
And it's like a 10 calorie dressing. So
Really?
this one I got, I don't know,
That's like per tablespoon though.
for 2 tablespoons.
2.
It's
Really?
it's a
That's pretty low.
But generally I'll put on a Greek dressing. I really like that. Or blue cheese. Or I like poppy seed. And I also like Caesar.
I love Caesar, but that's usually pretty high in calories.
Yeah, but you get the diet stuff.
That's fake. That's not real Caesar.
Yeah,
It doesn't even
whatever.
taste like Caesar.
I don't,
does
it
it?
doesn't bother.
But I do like salads as well. But I tend to get burnt out on them because at the beginning of a diet or at the beginning of me trying to eat healthy, I will just pound salads like crazy. And then I burn myself out on it and I don't want them anymore. And I get angry.
Well, then I just switched to hard-boiled eggs and yogurt, Greek yogurt.
Oh, I like hard-boiled eggs. So you put the hard-boiled eggs in
In
your
the Greek yogurt, yeah.
Sounds amazing. It just sounds like such a good idea.
Yeah. So I'm having a salad, a hard-boiled egg, and a Greek yogurt for lunch, and it's only like 500 calories.
So I was on keto before the holidays, lost quite a bit of weight, gained it all back plus some.
Yeah.
Because
that's how it works.
I'm an idiot. And but I told Amy, like at the end of that, I was like, this is not a feasible diet for me. I cannot do this with kids around at all. And Amy tends to cut out pretty quickly, just because like at the hospital, it's really hard for her to stay on keto because there's like different like surgical reps that come in and bring like huge trays of food. The doctors will buy food all over the place. They have a cafeteria available to them all the time. There's just always terrible food around in the surgical department, according to her. And I believe her. Like it sounds like an amazing amount of food, and it's really hard to stay away from when you bring, a salad and you see all of this stuff around where everybody's eating like a potluck, So I understand that. So if I don't have somebody doing it with me in the house, and the kids obviously are not on a keto diet, and they waste food like terrible. They just leave things on their plate. Well, who's there to finish it?
Yeah.
Dad. Dad finishes
Hoover.
that food. Yes. And so it's like impossible. Or I waste it all. I was putting like plates of food out to the chickens because I was on keto. I was like, this is really dumb. This is dumb. I need to eat this food. Which is an American like ideology that we need to get away from. But then I ended that diet because the holidays were coming around. And I was like, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm going to get back on MyFitnessPal app because it's a wonderful app. And it's a lot better now than the first time I downloaded it, because the first time I downloaded it, it didn't have a lot of the foods in there. But you can like take pictures of all of your foods and like
great.
tons of stuff. And they have like whole meals in there that you can and it'll give you all of the calorie count for that, or like all the macronutrients that you want to track, right? And it's a super easy app to use. And the first time I ever tried to lose weight, I used that app and it worked wonderfully by counting calories. And a lot of people dog the whole, oh, I don't want to have to count my calories, but this app makes it very easy.
Yeah.
We are not paid by MyFitnessPal, but I feel like we should.
They're owned by Under Armour.
Did you know that? I did. So it's a really great app, but that's what I told Amy.
I have
right
been
before.
paid by Under Armour, like vast sums of money.
You have?
Yeah.
Why?
They buy a lot of trees off me.
Under Armour?
Yeah.
Just randomly buys trees from you? From Chicago?
Yeah. So
the Chicago store?
Yeah, the Chicago store. One year they had like a program they wanted to do where they were going to do living Christmas trees throughout their entire store.
Wow.
And they ordered like 20 spruce trees. And they wanted to leave them in the store in the root ball, and then after Christmas, have me come get them and take them out to like the south side of Chicago and plant them in like depressed neighborhoods, and then like donate them.
Okay.
But they had no plan in place for this. All right. So first of all, they had no idea the size of these trees they're dealing with, right? And so they get back to me, and I'm like, my first inclination is I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that job. That
sounds like a lot of work.
A pain in the ass. And Marley's like, just do it. I'm like, okay. And it was a lot of money, like a lot.
Okay.
Because I just like charged them $1 billion.
Right. Well, it's Under Armour, so
whatever. I took the job, and they're like, okay, just so you know, we'd like you to be done with everything before the store opens at like 7 a.m.
Oh my.
So
like get all the trees in the building before they open? Okay.
So I couldn't get the trees here because we didn't have them, and it was like it was like at the end of November.
That seems late.
Yeah, it was like, well, there was protesting and rioting going on downtown because
like the G5 or G7 summit?
Yeah,
it
was the Occupy Wall Street stuff, I think.
Okay.
So they couldn't get them in, and whatever. We got them in. It might have been right around Thanksgiving. But we couldn't get the trees here. So I had to drive basically up to the Wisconsin border to get these trees. So I drive up to the Wisconsin border and like late in the afternoon. Of course, it gets dark at like 4 o'clock.
Right.
I get these trees. It's like 2.5, 3 hours away where I'm going. Got the iTrees truck trailer on the back. Truck and trailer, or just the trailer full of trees. Nothing on the truck. I get about halfway home on 47 and blow a tire.
I remember this.
So I pull off on the side of 47.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I call the guys that work for me at like 8 o'clock at night. And I'm like, you need to drive. And I was like way north. I was up by like Huntley.
Yeah.
I'm like, you need to get up here with jacks and tires and another truck and trailer. And so
we recorded like the day after this happened because I remember you telling me this story.
Okay, so by the time they get up, I mean, it's a couple hours. They get up there. It's like it's like 10, 11 o'clock at night. I don't know. It's 10 below zero.
Oh my god!
And I have to unload an entire trailer of trees with a Toro Dingo onto another truck and trailer on 47.
Oh my gosh!
And so we do that. By the time I get home, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning.
And you got to leave again to go up to Chicago.
And I left at like 3:30 to go to Chicago. So I pull into Chicago to the alley behind the store, walk in, nobody's there. Banging on doors. I'm calling people. Like, nobody's here. You got to get in. Finally, I get a hold of somebody, and they come there. The guy's like, okay, well, you can come in here through the back. Unbeknownst to me, it's a 2-story store.
Oh, no.
And these are 1,000-pound trees. All right. So I loaded trees one by one onto a service elevator. Brought them up. We did everything by hand because I couldn't use any of my equipment. So we're using dollies for all these trees. It was like 27 trees or something.
Holy crap.
Load them all in. We get it. And so I'm bringing these trees in, and the guy doesn't have any idea where they're supposed to go in the store. Nobody has a plan. Nobody has an idea.
Heck?
I'm like, you got to give me a map. Where are these trees going? He's like, I don't know. And some of them, and so he's like, just put them wherever you want. And so I'm walking around the store. I'm like, we got to get going. So I'm like, and I'm kind of being an asshole to this guy.
I would assume. Yes.
I'm like, we got to get going. So I'm going to design this.
Yes.
Put the trees out. So I got trees on pedestals with stuff around them and all kinds of stuff.
Holy cow.
And right as I'm finishing up, right before the store opens, the manager walks in, and he's like, "What's going on?"
I don't want those there.
And he made us move every single tree.
Wow. Was there like a upcharge for that?
No. So we got the job done. We get back. And so Christmas goes by. Of course, nobody's watering these trees.
They all died.
They're all basically dead. But anyway, Christmas goes by and, they called me up and they're like, "Hey, what are we supposed to do with all these trees?" And I'm like, "I don't know. That wasn't part of my job.
That's not my job.
You said you wanted trees. I brought you trees." There was nothing in my contract for me saying we were supposed to pick them up or plant them or anything. They're like, "Well, we wanted to donate them." I'm like, "Okay, I will give you a quote to come pick up the trees and take them somewhere and donate them. Where do you want them donated?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know." This was right after the Coal City tornado. And I'm like, "Well, there was just a tornado in a local town." I'm like, "I'll come get them. We'll plant them in that town for the tornado." They're like, "Okay, sounds great." And I'm like, "Here's my bill." And I charged them the same exact amount. I charged them for the trees and to bring them there because I'm like, well, I got to go get them. I got to bring them back.
It's
and
the
I gotta
exact
plant
same.
them.
Yeah, it's the exact same amount of work plus more.
Yeah, plus more. So, and they're super pissed at that point. I'm like, "Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Deal
then
with them
keep
yourself,
your
then."
trees. Yeah.
So they paid me, and I came up and got them, and I couldn't plant them. Obviously, the ground was frozen by that point.
And they were all dead.
Yeah, so I set them out and mulched them in, and I'm like, if they survive in the spring, I'll plant them. They did not.
Not a single one.
No.
Wow.
So I was able to
have a hell of a bonfire.
no, Coal City Area Club wanted them
for fish.
For fish habitat. So we ended up cutting them all and bringing them over there, and they dumped them in for fish habitat.
Well, that's a good idea. So it all worked. I mean,
yeah, I made
really,
a ton of money.
it all worked out.
That's why I only wear Under Armour clothing.
You have an Under Armour shirt on right now as we speak of that.
So the next year I call them. I'm like, "Hey, you want to do that again?
You want some trees?"
And they're like, "No."
they're like, "F off. We don't ever want your trees again." Even though they did none of the work.
No, and they didn't even pay for it. The corporate paid for it. That was what they were pissed off about. They didn't even know really anything about this. This all came down from corporate in New York.
Oh.
So, I mean, the manager maybe knew, but they didn't even have the map. Some designer somewhere in New York made the map.
Here's the problem, though. If you call yourself a manager, you should probably manage that, right? And have at least one person in the know to get you in and have an idea of where the trees are going. He could be mad all he wants, but you should at least be a little bit prepared.
Yeah. Marley said we used one for our Christmas tree that year. Yeah, we did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
This dead, shabby-looking tree?
We couldn't have because I brought them back after Christmas. Anyway. What's crazy is that the store ended up being closed for a bunch of that month because of those riots. So,
yeah. They didn't even get to do any of it. That's funny. Let's see. Follow the 3 C's of nutrition.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what the 3 C's are either, but
I don't need to take nutrition advice for somebody that's in stellar shape.
So. I know, incredible shape, and has to work 0 on it. He does no work, and he stays in incredible shape. And then he'll wakeboard in front of you and cut your legs out from underneath of you as you try to stand up on a kneeboard. Unfair.
Danny said, I carried bushes packaged by nursery, tree spade, dirt ball thing on bottom, wire mesh. That's what all of ours are, basically. They weighed 300 pounds. Good workout. Yeah. I mean, I could go on and on about the places that we've brought trees. We work in Chicago. I've taken them up flights of stairs. I've taken 1,200-pound trees up flights of stairs, and not one.
How do you do that?
Like dozens and dozens and dozens of them.
But how do you take them upstairs? I don't get it.
I brought them over with my Toro Dingo.
Right.
I set them down. I had to build ramps. I had to go get lumber.
Oh, really?
And we dollied them up. Took 4 people
to push them up.
2 people on the front, 2 people on the back to push them up one at a time, and that job was like 20 trees.
You need to buy.
It was not a small flight of stairs. I'm not talking about 4 stairs. I mean, it was like 20 stairs.
Really?
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Don't they have like these crawler things that like go upstairs? They like rotate and go upstairs.
Probably.
Just buy one of those.
Yeah,
that's all you need to do. It's cheap.
Oh yeah, Marley says yes. They didn't have room for 2 or 3 of them, so we bought them back, and they paid us to cut it and they paid us and cut it for. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's nice. They cut your own Christmas tree.
No,
Under
we
Armour
cut it.
supplied you with
Yeah.
a Christmas tree.
They paid for the tree. We brought it back, and then we used it as a Christmas tree.
Nice. Those are the perks of the tree biz.
That is why there's so much money wasted in these gigantic bureaucratic corporations.
Right. Is that kind of stuff.
It made my year, though.
Well, I'm sure it did. I'm sure it absolutely did. And it was 27?
I think it was over 20. I don't know exactly how many it was, but I mean, it was a lot of trees. First time I ever went to Shake Shack.
Oh, really?
It's Shake
I've
Shack
never
around
been.
the corner. Yeah, we've done crazy. I planted trees for the mob. Legitimately the mob, and it's also the place where they film a reality show about the mob.
What?
That's a whole nother story. I'm not going to get into that one.
Well, I want to know the reality show.
I can't remember the name. I'll dig it up. And then the number one restaurant in the world, Alinea, I provided them trees to use in one of their dishes.
Just branches.
Branches, yeah, for peppermint snow.
That's amazing. This is the kind of stuff I need to get into, selling branches off trees.
I brought the whole tree.
Oh, you just took them one whole tree?
They didn't.
Did you
they
charge
were not
them?
specific about what they wanted.
Did you charge them by the branch?
Nope. And they told me, they're like, we want this type of tree for whatever. And I'm like, okay, I got a bunch of them. And this was, actually, I believe.
It doesn't seem worth it, though, for one tree.
I'm like, here's the deal. The trees are $500 a piece.
Yeah.
You don't need to plant them. So I just cut them off with a chainsaw, threw them in the back of my truck, and took them up. They ordered like 20 trees.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. And
I thought it was like one tree.
No, I stacked them up in the alley by the dumpster, and then they used them to put food on.
It's ridiculous.
And then they ordered again.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, twice.
I didn't know they did it twice. Huh. Must have been pretty good service by the old iTrees company.
Everybody loves us. We're the best. Best in the biz.
I love you. All of that to say, I was going to start counting calories again, too. Like, I like the MyFitnessPal app, and I want to do that. But you have to hold me accountable because I can't hold myself accountable. I have no willpower, and I am
You want to compete to see who can eat the least amount of calories in a day? Like every day we'll show our calorie counts.
I guess we can do that. But it's kind of dangerous to go under 900.
So is this like, let's redo an earlier episode? I've never told that story before, have I?
You have. About Alinea, but not, I don't think you have with the Under Armour
never
one.
told the Under
I mean,
Armour.
I knew about that story, and I knew about the tire blowing out, and because I know we recorded like that week.
I don't think so. This was before the podcast.
No, I think it was the first year we ever did the podcast. You got to remember that was like
2012.
18. Well, yeah, I guess it was, but like 2018.
Okay.
That winter was the first winter we did it, and we only recorded like a couple times before Christmas.
Okay.
Well, we started in November, and we only recorded like twice. We were like 2-week spans, but until we hit January of 2019, and that's when we started recording week to week.
I think this was earlier than that.
Really?
Yeah, I think.
Well, I remember
it was
the
probably
story.
another tree-related malady.
I guess it could have been. Mob, good to go. Yes.
Twice about the tree branches. Oh well, it was 2 minutes. I didn't flounder with this story.
Ian, get off our backs, bro.
It's 110 episodes,
Come on.
man.
Yeah. You think we remember every episode?
Okay, so we don't have to jibber jabber. Apparently, they're not enjoying it.
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't.
So we can just get right into our Wonder Woman.
Well, wait. I have a couple spring stretchers that I want to get after. I texted one to you the other night with no response whatsoever. Chris doesn't respond to me anymore. He doesn't like me on the off seasons, on the off days.
I'm not a good texter.
No, you're terrible at texting. Anyway, so I have 3. One of them involves your insurance because I'm probably going to sue you.
Okay.
And I'll just get into that right now. So ICE.
Join the club. I got like 4 pending lawsuits. So.
ICE is just a miserable bitch. You know that? And I parked out here, right out in front of our studio here.
And freshly salted.
Right, except for where my driver's side door was. So I opened the door and I hopped out because I thought it'd be gravel, and I busted my ass so hard coming out of my truck.
No.
And I thought, this is a perfect time to sue iTrees, Harvard Farms, literally everything. Just take everything out from underneath of you. But I'm not injured. So I
You're
guess.
not litigious.
No. What's that?
Like willing to litigate.
Oh, right.
Easily.
And I'm not willing to lie about injuries, but I think I bruised my butt.
I once got sued by somebody who ran into my parked truck. Have I told this story?
I don't think so.
Okay, I had my iTree's truck parked in Chicago. Somebody ran into the parked truck, and the passenger of said seat went to a chiropractor because she had an ankle injury from pushing the phantom brake in front of her.
Really?
And I lost the lawsuit.
Are you serious?
Yeah, she got $15,000 from my insurance company.
Holy smokes.
So did the driver, but...
Because of where you were parked?
No, I was parked legally. The cops said I did nothing wrong.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't matter. When you're a business, you lose.
Wow.
And both the passenger and the driver together went to the same chiropractor a month later at the same time, and both had the same diagnosis. Their left foot from hitting the brake pedal, even though there is no brake pedal on the passenger side.
Well, right. There is nothing.
Yes.
Yes. Interesting. Well, that's terrible. Well, I guess I won't sue you then.
Yeah, please don't.
I'll take that. I'll take that off my list. But remember, it's a possibility. If I have any injuries in the future, it may come back and haunt you. Next one is HBO Max. It's a fine app. I like some of their content. And closed captioning seems to be like an easier option to understand shows, right? There are some shows that...
I'm a big fan of closed captioning.
Yeah. I wasn't at first. I never used to be, but we had a conversation about it, and I started turning it on more, especially with like The Last Kingdom. Some of the accents are really thick, and you don't necessarily know what they're saying. So if you turn on closed captioning, you can understand the show a lot better when you have accents like that. So we do that, Amy and I. And I've been doing it on HBO Max randomly. And I turned it on the other night, and they are so enormous on the screen. They'll jump from the bottom to the top, and it'll be huge block letters. It's like all caps. I feel like they're screaming at me. And they cover up most of their faces, like right in the middle of the screen. It'll cover up their faces, or it'll be on the bottom, and they'll add like their own closed caption, like in the show, like when somebody's speaking a different language, covers up all of that. It covers up the top of their faces sometimes. It's horrendous. It's an absolute nightmare, and they need to get that fixed.
Okay.
Because it's really dumb. Like
Can you adjust it in the settings?
No, it's just on or off. You can, when you get to it, it just says on or off. Other apps allow you to adjust the closed caption. Netflix, perfect.
Netflix has got the streaming thing down.
Yeah, they got it, and it's absolutely perfect. But HBO, man,
Netflix also has the best interface.
Oh yes, by far.
Disney
HBO
Plus
Max
is by far the most organized. Like if you're trying to find something,
it's very slow for me on my Fire Stick, though. I know you don't have that issue, but
No.
I have a very rough time like navigating Disney Plus because of the lag, and it's the same thing with HBO Max. HBO Max is the exact same way as Disney Plus. Huge lag every time you try to pick something. It's really annoying. But their closed caption,
terrible. Stretches your
absolutely terrible. Last spring stretcher I have happened also today, and it was a really random occurrence. I was in the kitchen making lunch for me and Grambo, and I just happened to like turn around and caught something moving in my yard that just like caught my attention. I was like, what the heck was that? Like, there shouldn't be really anything in my yard that of this size. So I run out the front door, and the mail lady drove through my yard.
What?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. And then I went out there and looked at her tracks. She pulled up to my mailbox. She obviously put the mail in, and then she, instead of like backing back out onto the road and driving away like normal, she drove through the 2 oak trees around my sandbox that I've built, and then looped around past that I have a big concrete slab there from an old like corn crib. And she went past that and back into my driveway and then left.
That's a crazy.
And
You have a big driveway.
I'm pretty sure it's frowned upon in the mail carrier community to drive through yards, And I'm not necessarily mad, just disappointed, because I feel like you shouldn't do that.
Really disappointed with them.
I really am. And it's the same Jeep that comes every day.
I think that people that got Jeeps, they like to off-road it, man.
Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't prop it up on the sandbox and take a picture of one tire off the ground.
Like, man, I spent 40 grand on this very mediocre vehicle. Yes. I better use it.
Right. I could get water through my floorboards. There's a plug in my floorboards to let water out.
I mean, it all rusts away, but
but it blew me away. That's literally never happened. There's really no reason. She could have driven up to my garage, and like got up on the concrete, backed around to get out of the driveway if she wanted. Apparently, maybe I pissed her off. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I'm sure you pissed her off.
I'm positive.
It's sure. That letter you sent to yourself that was addressed to "fuck you, mail lady."
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, maybe she didn't like that one, but it did. It blew me away. And to be honest, she could have done that any other time besides this week when we didn't have snow. Like before the snow, and I would have never known that happened. But now that there's snow on the ground, I can clearly see your tracks driving through my yard. Maybe she's done it before. I don't know. But
Ian says, I caught up today, guys. Cheers. Hey, that means he caught up on episodes.
Oh, he
awesome,
did.
Ian.
Good job.
That's some high quality listening. And Nolan pointed out that you must have flexed it off your fall.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Of course I flexed right away.
Just like you flex COVID off every day.
I'm pretty sure I do. I think I had it once already, maybe twice.
You think, because you don't really know because you flexed it off.
That's true. I mean, it's a skill that I possess that other people need to get into.
All right. So Wonder Woman.
Yeah, now we can talk.
Okay, guys. Everybody's been waiting. Everybody's been asking. They want to know about our review of Wonder Woman. So that's what we're going to do.
It is part of our what we've been watching, what we're watching. Wonder Woman was definitely on my list of things to watch because I've wanted to see it for a long time. It's been hyped up for a long time.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for like a year, and I loved the early trailers and stuff, so I was super excited about it.
I think it was like 2 years because we waited for this movie for a long time, and then all of a sudden it popped up on HBO Max.
The last one came out in like 2016 or something, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a long time ago, and then I think it was like 2018, the first trailer came out for it.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago.
So there'll be some spoilers.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of spoilers.
Probably nothing too crazy, but...
No, I'm literally going to...
But I'm going to just tell you right now, you're not going to care. If you haven't seen it, don't worry about the spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, you shouldn't. You shouldn't worry about any of this coming up.
All right, so what do you think of it?
Overall. So,
Yes.
like, my overall impression right off the bat is it looks good, right? It looks great. I think the cinematography is good. I like kind of the 80s genre a little bit when you get it. It's not always up front that they're in that time frame. But it is very much subpar. It is a very subpar movie. I'm super disappointed in it. I loved the first one except for the third act, right? Like the end of Wonder Woman, the original was not good, but the beginning and middle, awesome. I loved it. This didn't really have any parts that were loved by me.
So the best meme I saw was it was a picture of, it said like all the people that got HBO Max that subscribed to watch Wonder Woman 84.
Yeah.
And then the next scene was Pedro Pascal going, I renounce my wish.
I renounce my wish. So that's a big thing. Like he wishes for, or people are wishing for certain things, and Pedro Pascal's character gets power off of that because he takes things from people.
Yeah.
As they wish. If they wish something, he takes whatever they love.
I guess it's
from them.
So irrelevant, but
I think, and I will say, I think Pedro Pascal acts his ass off.
Yeah,
I
let's
think
start
he does
with the
a wonderful,
positives. Okay.
I think he does a wonderful job acting. I love that actor, and he does a good job in the character that he was given.
I really liked him. Yes, I liked him and his acting, and to a certain degree, the character, even though the character made very little sense,
Right.
and posed kind of a weird, unrealistic threat. I
Yeah.
don't know. There was not a lot of clear stuff there.
Right.
He did good. I know there's been a lot of backlash, but I liked Kristen Wiig's performance.
Yeah. No, I think she was great.
I thought that was a bit of a shock to me that she would act like that.
Yeah.
I thought the character was very, very marginal at best and somewhat annoying at times, but her acting performance, I'm saying, was pretty good.
I completely agree. Yeah.
There's no reason to have those two villains paired together.
Nope.
For any reason. And
I understand the idea of her not wanting to give up the power that she now possessed after she got it because of where she was at before and how people looked over her, you know? I understand that idea, but it didn't like make sense in the movie, or like it just doesn't do anything for the movie. There's no reason for her to be in the way of anything.
yeah.
You know?
So, I mean, that's really, Nolan pointed out the first 10 minutes. Now, the first 10 minutes has gotten panned hard because everybody's been saying that it was completely irrelevant. The beginning on Themyscira.
Okay, and the running, yeah, she was doing.
I thought
the
it was
contest.
a cool sequence.
Yeah.
One of the coolest. I agree with Nolan. It was probably one of the coolest visually sequences in the movie. And being completely irrelevant, other than to set up the very last line where she's basically the morality tale of the story.
Yeah.
But it was visually cool. I mean, some of the action, like I liked the mall fight scene. That's another one that's gotten kind of shit on because the special effects were goofy and the whole sequence was kind of goofy and
very much so.
The tone was weird, especially compared to the rest of the movie. But the action was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So when I originally watched this movie, first of all, it's 2.5 hours long, which is insane.
Is it that long?
It's
Was
that
it long?
Yes.
Gosh, I don't remember it being that long.
And you feel every bit of that.
Ounce of it.
So that's crazy to begin with. The first time I watched it, I fell asleep at about an hour and a half in.
Okay.
So I have two understandings of this movie. So I had fallen asleep, and the next day I got up, and Marley stayed awake and finished it. And I'm like, that was the worst thing I've ever seen. Because nothing happens in the first hour and a half of that movie.
No.
Of any consequence whatsoever.
Except for like she starts losing her power. So spoilers here. Wonder Woman starts losing her power because she does make a wish off of this stone.
Which, again, is a stupid plot device.
So dumb. It is so dumb. She wishes on this stone to get Steve, what's his name? Steve Trevor?
Yeah.
Back, or like the love of her life back. He ends up coming back in the form of some other person. She just sees him as Steve. Or she doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if she sees him that way or not.
No, she didn't. She didn't.
She sees him as the normal person, right?
But then after that, for some reason, unbeknownst to anybody,
I think just us see him that way.
No,
because
she sees him that way.
Okay.
But I don't know if she means metaphorically.
Right. That's what I took it as. Like metaphorically, she can see him then.
Yeah.
But in reality, he still looks like that other guy. And he comes back, but in doing so, she loses her power then. Like whatever her greatest,
or begins to lose her power.
It's very slow
and
process.
There's no clearly defined rules on how that's working. There's no
it's random.
Clearly defined rules on what her powers are, because at one moment in the film she's super powerful and the next she's not.
Yeah.
And she gets her powers back, but the littlest thing she can't do.
Yes, it's really annoying.
Like at the end, she's got her full powers back. The dude's in that stupid connect to the world device, which is the dumbest thing ever.
Yes.
And there's wind.
I know, and she can't fight the wind.
Where's the wind coming from?
The device, all of the wishes coming in.
Where's the wind coming from, and why can't she walk through it?
I think it's all the wishes coming in. But, okay, to put this in perspective, Wonder Woman basically has the same powers as Superman. She can't technically fly, but she can fly.
Is she bulletproof?
Yeah, well,
she hits them away.
Yeah, just those, like, what are those things called?
But
on her wrist.
Am I wrong?
She's not bulletproof.
She got hit with bullets many times in this movie.
But she was, losing her power, so it's shown blood.
So where are the bullets going?
It went through her, I guess.
And everything's just fine?
Yeah, she was just good. That I don't know. But like in the comic book, she's a very powerful superhero. And she can do a lot of things. And her power rivals that of Superman. In this movie, I understand she was losing her power, but like you said, even when she had it, it was as if some worked and some didn't.
Yeah.
And she could do some things.
Whatever was convenient for the plot at that moment.
Yes. Very aggravating.
Yeah. The first hour and a half I spent just sighing out loud at the ridiculous plot holes and stupid things that I can't believe made it through script phase. I cannot believe there is a scene where they walk outside of a Smithsonian and get into a fully fueled jet and take off from somebody that is a pilot from World War I.
Okay.
I understand that airplanes are
Wait,
airplanes.
let's give a little backstory to this, though. So, yes, they go to the Smithsonian Institute. They go outside and they have aircraft, as basically like historical pieces, right? And there is a fully fueled like
Fighter
F-15 jet sitting there with a runway. Where have you ever
I don't know.
seen an airport at like an airport runway at a museum?
I don't know. Maybe there is at that one. I don't know.
I highly doubt it. That there would be a runway to where jets can take off in a very short distance, but
okay, let's even assume they're not at the Smithsonian at that point. Nobody knows. But let's just assume they're not. Even so, any airport where there's just a fully fueled fighter jet.
Yeah, fully functional, fully fueled, ready to rock and roll. You can get in and turn the key.
This thing is digital avionics at this point. It's
Yes.
computer controlled, even in 1984 to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Probably not to a huge extent in 1984.
I mean, it had a hell of a lot more than the 40s.
Now, I'll suspend my disbelief. I believe no, because the first one was in World War I. That dude was flying biplanes.
Oh, he was. It's not World War II, right?
I don't think so.
Okay, either way.
Either way.
It just doesn't make any sense.
If you're a pilot, you could probably figure out how to fly anything. I'll give them that. I'll suspend my disbelief from that. I can't suspend my disbelief for the fully fueled fighter jet with keys, and I understand they don't start with keys, but you get my point.
Yeah.
There's got to be some sort of safety device.
Absolutely.
For starting a fighter jet.
Just the control panel in front of him, he would have had no idea how to run or operate. I mean, he may be able to understand the flight controls just from a joystick, but getting it started...
And a jet and an airplane aren't the same.
No, there's a certain way to get that thing started.
But the principles are there, so whatever. So they take off, and then it just annoys... And then
it gets worse.
All of a sudden, I know how to turn things invisible. And there's been no explanation of that. It's just like, oh, I've been practicing this. Okay, now I can turn
now I
jets
can
invisible.
Do it. Yeah. And before this, she only did a coffee cup, and she'd never found it again. But now all of a sudden, I did an entire airplane, and we can just fly around invisible, which she has an invisible plane in the comic books. But I'm positive they explained it a hell of a lot better than what they did in this movie.
And this gets me to the most annoying part. So we're just going to fly to Egypt.
Oh, wait. Before they even get to Egypt, they start flying, and Steve Trevor, who was an American, said there's fireworks going off, and he's like, "What are those?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, they're fireworks. It's the 4th of July." He's like, "Wow." And then after that, he proceeds to fly through the fireworks. Those are still explosions. Those are bombs going off in the air. They can hurt a plane. Like, regardless of what plane you're in, he literally flew through the firework explosions, and they're just gazing out the window like nothing's like, this is just amazing. And
first of all,
then
they
proceed
have
to
those
fly.
types of jets in 1984?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wasn't sure on that. All right.
Yeah.
But then they fly directly to Egypt.
Egypt.
You know the range of a fighter jet?
It's not Egypt.
Very far.
It's not Egypt. That's why we have refuelers that fly around in the air.
I don't even think you could make it across the Atlantic.
It depends on where you took off from. Like, if you took off from like the really far north, you can hop over from like Canada to like Greenland.
Okay, fine.
But that's it.
But you're
still not making it back down to Egypt
to fly a jet to Egypt.
Yeah, you're gonna.
And then when we get to Egypt, Nolan says, unbeknownst to most people, the Nazi U-boat at the Museum of Science and Industry has a trapdoor underneath it that drops into
Lake Michigan.
Is that true?
No, I think he's making a joke saying like, it's ready to go whenever you need to use it, just like the airplane is.
I don't think so. I think that's true.
It has a trapdoor underneath of it to drop into Lake Michigan. Why do they need to drop a Nazi U-boat into Lake Michigan?
Anyway, regardless of that, I can't get into the nuts. He'll answer that. So then they get to Egypt, and then they get in a car and just drive down the road, and whoop, there's the bad guy.
Right next to him.
Right there.
Yes. They caught up to him right away.
There's no work involved in any sort of finding anybody, you know. And, you know, there's a cool sequence after that, but...
Very aggravating, because that's when really the first time you start to understand that she's losing her power. And that's where I got really frustrated, because you don't know that she's losing her power. You don't know that anything was taken from her. All you see is her failing miserably at keeping trucks away from her.
And maybe I missed it, but is there any point where they explain that he gets a wish when he grants a wish? Because that confused me.
No.
I had to think about it after the movie was over and be like, wait, how?
Oh, there is explanation in the movie, but by that point, I don't think there was. You saw him... you see Pedro Pascal's character ask, his wish was to be the stone, like the stone that's granting these wishes. So he becomes this stone, and then goes around. So when he's in Egypt, he goes to this oil tycoon, I guess, and basically he coaxes people into making a wish, and then once he coaxes them into making their wish, he takes their most loved possession. So he tries to take stuff away from him, and that's the first time you really see it happen. So you see him take that, but there's no explanation as to why he does that or how he gets the power to do that. It comes after that. So at this point, you have no idea why Wonder Woman is failing and doesn't have any power or can't overcome the slightest inconvenience to her, and you don't understand why he just said, okay, now I take this from you.
Yeah. Or why? Yeah.
None of that is set up.
There's no cohesion in this plot. Let's take away the gigantic plot holes and the aggravating stuff. There's no cohesiveness to the writing of this plot at all.
No.
And also on top of that,
it's very sporadic.
So anyway, the next day I got up, I watched the second part of the movie, and the ending of the movie did improve the experience of the movie.
Did it?
Yeah, to a certain degree.
Okay.
Although, again, this whole wish thing, nothing makes sense. First off, why does he want to get a wish from everybody in the world? Why does he care at that point? He can do whatever he wants at that point.
Yeah.
Why does he go to the President of the United States? And why does the President of the United States wish for more nukes? Why wouldn't he just wish for no nukes or wish for the Soviets to have no nukes?
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then for some reason, the whole world devolves into chaos.
And all of a sudden, as soon as you wish for more nukes and they start popping up on the map, they're like, they shot off their nukes.
But the whole world goes into a post-apocalyptic insanity.
Yes.
And it makes no sense. Not even to mention the fact that he's broadcasting all over the world, I guess, because that's a thing.
Well, they talk about how they had just created this.
I guess. But
this
most people don't speak English.
Exactly. They would have no idea what you're saying. That's the truth. Only the United States would know what you're saying. Basically.
This is a mess of a movie.
It is a steaming, heaping pile of garbage.
This was so hyped up because everybody's like, oh, Patty Jenkins directed the first one. She didn't get to write it. Now she gets to write this one.
Oof.
She should never write another movie again.
No.
She's in charge of a Star Wars movie.
Take every pen away from her, and she is.
She's a great director.
The acolyte.
Honestly, this movie is well directed. It looks good.
Yeah, that's what I said. It looks good.
The first Wonder Woman is well directed.
Sure, might be directed well.
But a director and a writer are different things, and there can be directors that are writers, but apparently she's not one of them.
Yeah, I really don't understand. They didn't have people involved with this movie that knew anything about
Jeff
characters.
Johns was a co-writer.
He had to have just turned a blind eye and taken a paycheck.
Yeah.
They had to have told him, you don't get an opinion on this.
I honestly think
he had to have been kept in the dark. I don't understand how he would allow a lot of that to happen. I mean, maybe he didn't allow a lot of it to happen, and they only took little snippets from what he wrote.
I don't know how you can make a superhero movie so unsuperheroic,
Yeah.
and so boring.
It's a huge letdown on a superhero movie. There's very little superhero stuff going on, except for like right at the very end and maybe a little in the middle. But other than that, it's a lot of talking. It's a lot of watching Pedro Pascal do his thing and like descend into his little madness. And that's it.
Yeah.
Like, there's Wonder Woman doesn't do anything in this movie.
Patty Jenkins came out. Obviously, this movie is being eviscerated.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So she's kind of come out to defend it and said some things, and she said she had problems with the first
ending.
The first iterations of Wonder Woman in Zack Snyder's, and then in the solo movie in the writing, because they made Wonder Woman too violent, too much like a superhero, and that's not what people want to see. That's not what Wonder Woman is. Wonder Woman's compassionate, and women don't. And then she went on to say, women don't want to see a movie with Wonder Woman being a warrior. Women want to see a compassionate, loving, type of character. To me, and I'm sitting there going like, I go, how out of touch do you need to be to assume that you can speak for all women?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I understand maybe women have a different. First of all, you're not making the movie just for women. You're making a movie for everyone, first off. And then to assume that that's the only thing that women want to see, it just seems so, I don't know.
But to me, maybe I'm like a simpleton and don't understand the big world of movies, but why can't you just make a Wonder Woman movie?
Right.
There's thousands of books that have been written about this character. Why can't you just take one of those stories and adapt it to a movie?
Right.
It's literally written for you. Just put it into live action. That's all you need to do. Even if it's a direct copy of a whole series of Wonder Woman books, right? And you make that all into a movie. At the worst, they're going to be like, well, Patty Jenkins just stole from the comics and had no, thought of her own. That's a hell of a lot better than people saying, this movie is hot garbage. It has nothing to do with the character. It doesn't put any story together whatsoever. I mean, it looks so much worse for you. Quit acting like you're doing this for women.
Right.
You specifically aren't. Just put a movie together called Wonder Woman that reflects what she did in the comic books. Yeah. That's what people want.
And we haven't gotten into the big one that people are harping on, which we're running out of time to talk about this. We're already in an hour. But the whole fact that Steve Trevor came back in this other dude's body and everybody's just cool with it. She doesn't stop for a second. Like, I watched this YouTube video that's like, Wonder Woman is a terrible person. Mm-hmm. Because Steve Trevor came back in this other dude's body. That guy, where's he? He's done. His life is over.
Right.
He has a family,
Well, he meets up with him at the end of the movie.
But that's after that happened. At the time, she's not concerned
about any of that.
She's just not like, well, the first thing you should be thinking is like, I'm in this dude's body. Like, this guy has a life. Like, you have to go.
Yeah, right.
We just murdered this guy.
Basically, you took him off the face of the planet for the moment.
And why is it necessary? Why can't you just it's a wishing stone?
Exactly.
Why can't he just come out of nowhere?
He didn't have to go into another person's body.
And then on top of that, here's another thing that bothers me, okay? He finds her at a party. How?
Right.
How long has he been back at this point? A couple hours? A couple days? So he's been living in the world now for, let's say it's a week. So for a week, he's been walking around Washington, D.C., right?
Yeah,
trying to find her.
Yep.
And then he finds her at this party.
And how does he even know that she's in Washington, D.C.?
And then in the next scene, it's like this whole, Steve Trevor doesn't know how the real world exists. I'm like, well, he's been here for a week. What's he been doing? He rode the subway to get to the party, and now you're in a subway, and he's like, a train? I've never heard of such a thing.
Maybe, I guess you just have to suspend belief in anything. And
Everything. Like the fact that he walks out of the art museum and there's supposed to be a funny scene where he looks at a garbage can like it's art.
Yes.
I don't care if you're a caveman that came back.
You could clearly.
Steve Trevor, who died in 1930 something.
They didn't have garbage cans then.
They didn't have garbage cans,
we
apparently.
just threw it on the ground. There was people that just swept up behind you.
It's on the street. It's a receptacle. It has open sides. There's probably a garbage bag.
Yeah, on it. Yeah.
There's some bum shit on the corner. There's McDonald's bags in there. It's a garbage can, Steve.
Right. Come on, Steve. But you can fly a jet. You don't know what a garbage can is, but let me jump in this fighter jet and fly it around because I can do these things.
Nolan said the U-boat thing was 100% a joke. Unless you believe it, then it's 100% true.
So I believe that it's a joke and you believe that it's true.
I don't know what to know, but I do know that my neighbor right down the road works at that museum because he was on a submarine in the military.
But he does?
Yeah, he works at that museum.
I'll have to find out afterwards who that is.
Find out. So I can't spend any more time on this movie. Don't waste your time.
It's very unnecessary.
It's the worst DC movie made to this point. I was not a fan of Aquaman. This is worse. I was not a fan of Suicide Squad.
Oh, this is way worse than Aquaman.
Is it worse than Suicide Squad? Maybe not.
I think it is. I think there is more desirable action and content in Suicide
Squad's pretty bad.
It's rough, but this movie has nothing in it. There's just none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't have anything.
And
like I'm not tied to any of these characters.
It doesn't make sense in the own continuity that they're already establishing. They're saying Wonder Woman's been around for hundreds of years, right?
Well, yeah, but you would never know that. I mean, and she doesn't even act like she's been around for hundreds of years.
Yeah, but in Batman vs Superman, when she's talking to Batman, she says, "I walked away from man 100 years ago." But that was 100 years ago in 1984. So that means Batman vs Superman took place in 2084.
Yeah, must have. Yeah, it had to have because she doesn't act like she's been around for very long. You know, just none of it makes sense.
The whip was cool.
I don't enjoy any of it.
The whip was cool.
What whip?
The lasso.
Oh, the lasso of truth.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think it's great. And
I don't think you could lasso bolts of lightning.
She can. That I don't have a problem with that type of stuff.
She does a lot of Spider-Man stuff.
It is very Spider-Man-ish. You're right.
So the movie's garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say about it. I will never watch it again.
Nope, neither. I really won't either. I've really never been this way about a DC movie to the point like you are. You know, like I hold on to DC movies thinking that they're going to be better and they're going to be good. And they have just progressively let me down.
I
like
can't
more
believe
and more.
It took
more.
4 years to make this pile of this mess.
It's a complete embarrassment. I mean, it really is. To me, it's a complete embarrassment to the DC tag, to like the DC comic book franchise.
This is 100% why they were willing to drop it on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, they knew it was going to fail.
Yeah.
I don't know where they can go after this. I know they have a lot of movies planned. Jeff Johns has come out and said that he's tied to quite a few DC projects that are coming out. But, and like the Flash movie is going to be coming and another Batman, obviously. And then they're going to do a whole new world, basically. Yeah. So like the Batman with Matt Reeves that he's directing is in its own world. It's like Earth 2. So they're going to have no connection to the Flash movie. That character, like, what's his name? The guy who's playing Batman.
Robert Pattinson.
He's not going to be playing another Batman again. Like, they're not tying that character into anything else. It's a standalone movie.
Yeah, but we've read something that we talked about on this show. They're introducing them. The
Gotham PD TV show?
No, they're introducing they're going to do Flashpoint, right? So there's going to be multiple Earths and all that stuff.
Correct, but Robert Pattinson's Batman's not going to be involved with that.
Well, that's going to fail once they get beaten to market by the multiverse of Marvel. So DC, you got to stop and regroup.
You've got to do something. Yeah, you have to do something different. You have to make one good movie and build off of that. Like they say don't put all your eggs in one basket, but you need to put every bright mind that you have working for you and fix one movie to be
everybody at Disney and Marvel has to be sitting there just laughing.
Absolutely they are. And the crazy part about it is that they've pulled people from Marvel. They've pulled people from other ends of, like different companies in the movie making industry, and they come over to the DC world and just shit on everything. It's like, is there a conspiracy to send people over there to shit on things? Or is there somebody above them that just decides, like at Warner Brothers, that just decides like, we're going to fuck this up at the top. Like we're going to let them do what they want. And then we're going to just hack it apart.
It's possible that just DC superheroes are just not meant for movies.
I mean, Batman's Superman is.
Got a long history. I guess Superman is.
Absolutely. Superman had good movies.
Is he's got the problem of he's too powerful.
I don't think those movies are bad, though. I don't think a lot of I liked the Superman movies, especially compared to the dog crap that's came out since.
Yeah.
Like those Superman movies look pristine compared to the movies that have come out since.
Yeah.
They just aren't putting them together correctly.
Yeah.
And they need to call me and you, and we will do it for them.
Yeah. Or stick to TV. They seem to do a pretty good job on television.
They have done a very good job.
And they are. They're going to do more of that, so that's fine. Let's move on from this because we got a lot more to talk about. Do we want to do any news or just go right into what we're watching? Because we had a lot of stuff.
We do have a lot of what we're watching. Let's finish up what we're watching. Maybe we'll hit up the news at the end. You think that's good?
Yeah, that's fine.
Because we're just like right at an hour.
You want to do another review? Because we both also can review the movie Soul.
Yes, Soul on Disney Plus. It was released Christmas. Was that Christmas as well?
Around then, yeah.
A couple days later.
The new Pixar movie, second one of the year. Sorry, excuse me. First one being Onward.
Of 2020. Yes.
2020.
Okay. I liked Onward.
Soul came out. I had no real idea of what this movie was or was about.
I read a brief article about it briefly in a podcast episode that it was coming out. It was a new thing. It was only a couple months before it came out that I read something about it, and it didn't sound intriguing.
It didn't sound intriguing to me, so we flipped it on. It's a kids movie, so flipped it on to watch with the kids. And I will just give my first impression. I watched this movie. It's quick. It's a quick movie.
It is very.
It felt like it was an hour and a half. I don't know if it was or not.
I think it is,
or maybe even less. And I just really, really enjoyed it. I just found it to be a very at the end of the movie. I just sat there and said, "Wow, that was a really pleasant movie."
Really?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great movie. I liked the aspects. I liked the integration of music and passion. I liked the message. I enjoyed the weirdness of it.
It is weird.
It is a weird movie, but I found it very pleasant, and it just gave me a good feeling. It wasn't like emotional. You would think you would think it would be, given the subject matter.
Yeah, it weirdly wasn't. Emotional.
It was emotional in a pleasant way. It wasn't like Inside Out where it was really moving at times.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I really, really enjoyed it. I was interested throughout the whole movie. I thought it was a great movie. I loved the musical aspect of it.
I absolutely love music, obviously, and I love musical aspect of it. And I like his passion for music. I like jazz a lot. I wasn't on the same boat as you.
Really?
Yeah, I was kind of bored with it, to be honest. Like nothing there. I guess a lot of the animated movies that I watch and a lot of the animated movies that have ever came out have some sort of like quicker pacing to them. Like there's an overarching story that you get, or like what the plot's going to be right off the bat. And then the story kind of goes through that pretty quick, and there's a lot of action usually in most of these animated movies. This one seemed slow to me, and
I can see what you're saying about it.
And I didn't really
seeming slow, but it didn't feel slow to me. It just felt like a little bit ethereal, like you're just kind of floating through it.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't really care
But
for that.
I didn't look at that in a negative way. I liked that. It was just pleasant, throughout.
I just thought it was kind of boring,
And I
and
thought
I didn't
it,
have a
it was
huge.
funny, like the with the little line guys. I thought they were
Oh
funny.
yeah, there's parts that are very good, and I would not say this is a bad movie by any means. I just thought it was slow, and I wasn't as interested in it as I thought I would be. When I saw, it's beautiful, like it looks great, and I like the characters, and I thought it's a good storyline. It just was kind of boring to me. I honestly, it didn't keep my attention at all.
I was not bored in this movie at one moment of this movie.
Did your kids enjoy it?
Yeah, everybody loved it.
Really?
I watched it. My wife, my kids, and my sister-in-law all watched it together. Every single one of us loved it.
And it's literally the complete opposite in my house. The boys got up like, that's boring. They left. Amy and I were left to watch this movie, and Amy started watching her phone more. And then I got up to the kitchen, and then I come back, and we were moving around.
Was it
and
dark?
Then eventually,
Was it dark in the room?
no, it was in the middle of the day.
We had all lights off. It was at night. I think maybe that helped the experience.
Really? Why would that help the experience? I would have fallen asleep.
No, I don't know. There's a certain amount of this movie has a feel to it, and I feel like you kind of gotta just go with it.
Yeah.
You gotta.
Well, we've tried to watch it a second time. It was still in the middle of the day.
It's not gonna be a very rewatchable movie, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't know. I just this is my least favorite of the Disney Pixar movies that have ever come out.
Really, I would really disagree with that
Yeah.
take on it. I mean, it's not in my top 5.
And
but
I knew you were gonna say this because, like the last time we recorded, I had caught on a certain thing. So, well, you had said like one movie you didn't like and one movie you really liked. Well, I knew what that was going to be because Wonder Woman is just hot garbage. So,
Yeah.
I knew you were gonna really like Soul, and I can't agree with you.
Oh man,
And
it was a beautiful story about.
It is a good
about-
story. I'm not saying it's a
about
bad
passion,
story.
but also it has a great
Yeah.
message about like, hey, you can be passionate about something, but you also need to be realistic
And not lose out on life.
and not lose out on life because of something.
Yes,
And
I
you need
like
to
that.
keep your mind open and not just get so obsessed with one thing and realize like the whole time not realizing that like teaching is a true passion, of
Yeah.
his. And I don't know. I
He-
really enjoyed the message and the
that's
movie.
spoilers, by the way. Like he ignored everything in life besides just playing the piano and trying to get a gig and trying to do this thing. And then after he died is when he realized, like, oh man, really lost out on what I truly needed to be doing, or
Yeah.
what I truly was passionate about besides just the music.
I liked. It's funny. Somebody else watched this movie and they're like, and they described it as explaining to kids what the afterlife is like. And I thought that was so odd when I heard that because I'm like, I don't feel like that's what that movie was at all.
No, it was.
In
no.
fact, it was
more
very-
about like what he's like.
and-
He was constantly trying to get back to the real world, and it was about like what he missed out on in the real world and what he needed to be paying attention to more. Not
Matt said I was shocked that he fell in the hole. I was super shocked when that happened, like right out the get go. I
Well,
was not seeing that coming. I didn't know that was coming.
well, we had talked about when I had talked about it prior, like read the little article about it. I knew the guy had died.
I did too, but I didn't think it'd be right out the gate.
I didn't. I guess I didn't either.
Well, anyway, I really enjoyed it. Jerry hated it because he hates all things.
Well,
that
and
are-
Matt agrees with me. It didn't hit home with him either.
Yeah,
So, I guess we're 2 against 1 and you lose.
I guess so.
No, I can see absolutely where people will really enjoy this. And I don't think it's a bad movie by any means. I was just saying like Matt said, it didn't hit home for me. It didn't catch my attention as much as I thought it would, because all of those movies normally do. I usually don't have an issue. I like The Good Dinosaur, for God's sake. So, that's saying something.
All right, we'll move on. I'm gonna do one really quick. I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about it.
Yeah, I got a couple like that.
I tried. I jumped on the Jerry bandwagon. I'm like, I'm gonna watch Survivor.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to ask you about that.
Boy, I can't do that.
I love it. I don't understand how you can't love the drama involved with Survivor.
It is so well. I've watched the newest season,
Oh, I haven't seen the newest season.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I've only got up to season 40.
The latest one that's on Hulu.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen that then.
It's like the winners come back.
Yes.
It's just a bunch of like people ridiculously sitting around and planning like how they're going to subvert other people.
Screw over other people. Yeah,
it is borderline unwatchable. I don't really understand what your
I love the games that they play. I
like the games. I wish they just played games and didn't have them 30 minutes of people sitting around being like so fake, by the way, like fakely stabbing. You got this stupid guy who's like digging a hole. He's like, I'm going to lay this hole. Like anybody.
Oh, yeah. No, that guy is Tony. That's Tony.
Like,
he's an idiot.
Like if anybody, like they want you to believe.
Lay in this hole. I forgot about that.
They want you to believe that these little meetings they have at the water hole like,
aren't seen by everybody.
Aren't seen by everybody. Aren't put together by the show.
I know, and
like you're not going to see a guy laying in a hole next to you.
Well, that doesn't happen. That was the only time that's ever happened because that guy is insane and really dumb. He won a whole season prior to that.
I can't do it. I cannot do this.
But I've also thought the same thing. Like, how are all these people not paying attention to the camera crews walking around following all of these people? I love it.
And the production value is shockingly bad for a show that they're still making.
How so? Like, what's bad about it?
Just everything from the graphics to how it's shot, it just doesn't look good.
What do you worry about graphics? It's just about people on a beach.
I guess. Listen,
I love it.
It's not for me.
It is absolutely for me. As soon as I could get any other new seasons, I'm watching them.
All right, we'll go a quick one. Get a quick one through.
Quick one. Let's see. Schitts Creek. I'm on the 4th season now. I'm falling more and more in love with this show.
That's a good season.
I just started it last night.
Unfortunately, that's the best season, I think, of the show.
Oh, really? 5 and 6, you think are...
I mean, they're still good, but I think it reaches its
peak
emotional maturity at season 4.
I honestly think, actually, I didn't start season 4 last night. I have one more I have the finale of season 3 to go, and then I was going to start 4, but I was falling asleep and I stopped it last night. But I really like season 3 a lot. And
I don't remember specifically what happens in season 3, so maybe I'm
just
blurring.
a lot of different things. A whole throuple thing that we've discussed once before happens. Oh yeah. And I was like, man, I get a much better understanding of what this is.
Oh yeah.
That
so
I physically
seasons
see it.
4 and 5. 5-2 is a good one. So
but I'm really enjoying season 3 a lot more. Season 2 was a lot better because there was more for him to do with the whole city council thing, and then season 3 gets into a whole nother aspect of it. And I'm really starting to like this show. It took me a long time to get into it, and I would watch an episode here, an episode there, and then Amy kind of ran ahead of me on shows, and I got like jealous of her running ahead of me, even though I have the opportunity to do the same thing. Or like actually watch it. So I finally sat down and started watching it, and man, it's worth it.
Yeah.
You just got to they act weird. Yes, they are weird people. They don't act like normal people, but it is worth the sit.
Yeah.
And they're quick. They're only like 22 minutes.
Yeah, it's a fun show. I like it. You're really going to like season 4.
So I'm excited about that because it's coming up and starting. Another one is I haven't talked about it. I've been talking about Star Wars Rebels forever. I just haven't said it on the show yet, but I finally finished the season. I had texted Chris and said, I don't understand how like an animated show can be this good and like make me this happy about things.
Yeah.
But it has. And I suggest everybody watch it. It's amazing.
That brought up a question because people were asking, there's people that have been watching this Rebels because of us.
Okay.
That wouldn't normally watch it.
Good.
And that are enjoying it greatly. And there's just a lot of confusion about what they need to watch in what order. And
I wouldn't worry about order.
I think we'll talk about it next episode.
Yeah. I mean, like on what
we've
order
talked. I understand some of you constant listeners. You know we've talked about this many times.
We have.
We'll cover it again because I think it is.
Are they talking about order of the whole Star Wars universe,
all of it, yeah.
or just
where
Rebels
things fall in the timeline? A,
yeah,
and
timeline's a big thing,
and then also B, like where this is all coming from. So like how the books play in, who is in charge of what, what did George Lucas do? What got done after George Lucas? What was inspired by this? Who inspired that? We can break
first
that
of all,
all
like
down.
all of it's inspired by George Lucas. Like all of it.
I mean, not the newer Disney stuff, but
No, I'm saying like from Clone Wars to Rebels to the movies, obviously like there's an overarching George Lucas tie-in to a lot of that, especially with Dave Filoni.
yeah.
Because
I
he's
think
worked
they
hand
just
in
mean
hand
like
with
the
him.
whole picture. They want the whole picture covered, and I think I can enlighten that.
Can we do the whole picture? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
there's just so much.
Yeah, we can.
There is so much.
We can.
It
we
is
can
the best.
help parse it out a little bit.
Okay. Parsec it out.
More about that. We talked about it last episode a little bit when we did our top 10, what you've been watching for the year. You talked about Rebels. So.
I did. Yeah. No, I have nothing else. I just wanted to say that I have finally finished it. This was a few weeks ago that I finished it, but I honestly want to go back and watch it again.
Yeah. If you're a Star Wars fan, it's a must watch. Let's just leave it at that.
Yep. I agree.
All right. Real quick.
I was going to say I have another real quick one, but you can go.
I started watching this show, Bruise Brothers, on Netflix.
Bruise Brothers, huh?
Yeah,
I've never even heard of it.
I thought it was a reality show about brewing, but it's not. It's a comedy.
Okay.
And it's about these two brothers that run a brewery.
Oh, like brews, like BREW.
Yes.
I was thinking like fighting,
It's
like getting bruised.
like a real comedy. Like they don't make a lot of. It's like a It's Always Sunny type comedy.
Oh, yeah?
But not anywhere near the quality of that. So I'm not comparing the two.
Okay.
But I'm saying it's a comedy like that. You know, like kind of an outrageous comedy.
yeah. The best kind.
I am enjoying it. It's not great. Like it's not shot really good and the acting's not great, but it is funny. I think it's funny. And I'm going to probably keep watching it.
I mean,
not
It's
to
Always
a
Sunny
point-
was kind of rough in the beginning
I'm not
too.
It's not to a point where I can recommend it to people, so I'm not.
Okay. But it's Netflix does things weird on how they like shoot shows and stuff. Like, is it a Netflix original?
It is. I mean, I'm sure they didn't produce it. They probably bought it.
Yeah.
I think the people that are acting in it probably made it, just like It's Always Sunny.
Sure.
And they just picked it up. It almost looks like it was like meant to be for like a YouTube series or something. But
Okay.
I think it's funny so far, so I'm gonna keep watching it when I can. It's not like a priority thing.
Is it half hour?
I think it's a half hour.
In one season?
Just one season out right now. Yeah.
So did it just come out?
Yeah, like a month ago maybe.
Oh, all right. Yeah, maybe I'll have to look into that. I've never even seen it at all. Like,
I don't know.
on
It popped right
Netflix.
up on mine, so the algorithm must have placed it.
just last night, I've been wanting to start new things. Like I've been wanting to reach into different territory of
Yeah, I
shows,
wanna
you
do
know,
that
and
too.
like I've been trying to do it. So there are two shows here that are different and that I would never assume that I would even try to watch, right? So, but I've been trying to do it. The first one that I just did last night was a show called Search Party, and it's been out on TBS. They have 3 or 4 seasons. It's about 4 college students that realize that one of a high school friend that they all kind of knew disappears, and she's like a missing persons. And this girl's walking down the street and sees the missing person of the girl that she knows, and she gets her 4 friends together, and apparently it's about them like coming together as this group and doing something. The art for the show for season 4 that's like coming out or just came out looks really intriguing. Like they are more involved with things than you would think.
What is this a comedy or a drama or what?
I don't know. I made it 15 minutes into the first episode and I could not watch it. I did not like the 2 or 3 characters that you met. They were just so off-putting that I did not want to hear them speak anymore. I couldn't do it. I didn't give it this is not a fair judgment of the overall show, because I just could not make it past the first 15 minutes because it was just absolute terrible dialogue. A guy was playing a ukulele for like 6 minutes singing a song that I just could not get over. And once that started happening, I'm like, this is not going to be for me. This is not for me. maybe it would be like later in episodes because I kept like reading about it. I was looking reviews up. A lot of people said it's super refreshing, great show, like, oh, great mystery. But there's comedy, there's drama, there's mystery. Like there's a bunch of things that this show does. And it's in its at least fourth season. So apparently people liked it, but
you've said nothing that makes me interested.
I will never click on it again.
Okay.
So that one's a fail. Next one was on HBO. That was on Netflix, I believe. And then the next one is a show called Big Little Lies.
Yeah, I mean, that's a very popular show.
Very popular show. I didn't know much about it. I knew it was going to be like a daytime soap opera, you know? And so I get into this thing where I start reading about shows before I ever watch them. Not like reading about what happens, just reading about people's reviews of the shows.
Yeah.
And it gets pretty good reviews.
Yeah, it gets very good reviews. I know a lot of people that watch that show.
People like it a lot. And so I started watching it, and I don't remember how many episodes are in the first season, but I think I made it through 6 episodes. I don't know if there's 8 or 10, but I know I'm over halfway through the first season. And I did that all in like 2 nights. I watched it pretty hard, and it's just not doing it for me either.
Yeah, I've never had any interest in that, although I like David Kelly, who's the producer. And he's like one of the most successful TV producers of all time. Reese Witherspoon is right? Reese, I think she's also one of the writers or producers or something.
She's very involved in one of the absolute main characters.
And Nicole Kidman, Meryl Streep. I mean, it's a lot of famous
huge
people.
Huge cast. But
Zoe
it's
Kravitz.
Just not that good. It doesn't catch my attention.
I
thought
you're
it would
the
be
primary demographic.
No, absolutely not. I just thought it was going to be a good show. It had to deal with murder. I like murder. I like committing it. I like watching it. You know, I just love being involved with extreme, horrendous murder.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought that's what this was going to be. It's not. So far, it's about like we're at this uppity school we take our kids to this uppity school, and we're going to have mom drama within the school.
Yeah.
That's all I've gotten out of it so far. And it's like, I hear a lot about that on Hey Mazan, so I already got that show, you know?
Yeah.
Just on a much lower, less paid level.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you.
So strike 2 on the whole reaching out on trying to watch different shows.
Why wouldn't you try and watch like Raised by Wolves or like
That show looks like it will scare me.
That show looks amazing.
It looks terrifying.
I want to watch it. It's every time. It's just another thing. Like I don't watch anything until nighttime.
I know, me either.
And it's heavy. It looks heavy.
Yes, that's why I've stayed away from it. It looks scary. It looks heavy. It looks like it's going to take way too much mental effort in order for me to process this thing. I should have started it when I was off for 2 weeks. I really should have started it then. But right now, at like 9 o'clock at night, I cannot start a show like that. That's why I've started those 2 shows. That's why I started those. So I was like, there can't be much behind these. You know, like maybe I can enjoy this without actually having to think. And then I get into it and realize these are not good.
Yeah. All right. I got one more to talk about before I get into my big 2. I started watching and watched a lot of A History of Swear Words.
Oh, I forgot. I watched the first episode of that.
Nicolas Cage.
Nicolas Cage is so out there.
Okay, first off, and Marley really likes it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a huge fan of it. It's fine.
There's no point to it.
But Nicolas Cage, it's worth watching because he's awesome.
That dude puts
just the way he speaks.
He puts 200% into what he's doing whenever he's doing it.
I just like watching him do this, and he's so weird.
I agree.
And so that's fine. Everything else, it's just, I didn't really realize it, but it's just basically like a panel show comedy with bring in your famous comedians and, you know, let's make a funny joke. It's nothing beyond that.
Yes. I gathered that right off the bat.
I laughed out loud quite a bit. What's his name from Manuka is really funny in it. Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman, yeah.
So whatever, that's fine. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. I watched quite a bit. I watched 4 episodes of it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
I just watched the first one.
Because Marley really liked it, so we just kept watching it. They're short.
There's only 6, isn't there?
I don't know. We watched the fuck one. That was like the best one.
Yeah.
We watched Dick. That one was funny, actually. And we watched Bitch. That one's not funny.
No?
No, that one kind of sucked.
Just you saying the word makes me laugh.
Actually,
bitch.
Dick was the best one so far.
Really? Yeah. I only saw the fuck one because that's the first one, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the one I saw.
Anyway, then I jumped right back into what I was waiting for.
Okay, well, before that, I have one other show that I've watched. Okay. Before we get into that. Just the one other one before the three big movies I watched. And it's a movie called American Pickle.
Oh, I watched that.
I know. You talked about it. Really enjoyed it. You really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And I thought, like, there's no way anybody can enjoy this movie. I started watching it. Loved the first half. Well, I would say, like, the first part and the end. But the middle just aggravated the hell out of me. So much.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say it was like the greatest movie ever.
I like what Seth Rogen did in both parts. I think it's great that I liked the fact that he acted both parts, and at first that was off-putting to me because I was like, is he trying to be Eddie Murphy? Is it going to be like an Eddie Murphy comedy like that? And I didn't want that. It's not by any means. What's the main character? The guy that's pickled?
Guy, I can't remember now.
All right. Well, either way, so him, like, I like his character and I like what he's doing and I like how he goes out and starts this new pickle business after you get over the fact that he was pickled and did not die, being submerged in a vat of brine. Apparently he didn't need to breathe. And still survive.
I don't think you should be looking at this for
geez, come on.
Reality.
Anyway, then he comes back and starts this pickle business, and he tells like his great grandson or whatever, like, I'm going to start this business and you should come with me. He's like, no. He's like, well, I'm going to prove to you I can do this. And he does it. I like that. I didn't like the fact that his great grandson was so spiteful that he decided to like just try to tear him down all the time.
Yeah. Well, he was a dick.
I know, and he was a very unlikable character. He didn't.
Yeah, absolutely.
He didn't, even when you see him sitting there at some points and seeing like what this guy's doing and how he's overcome every obstacle you've thrown at him on purpose, and then he's sitting there, and you think like, oh, this is the point where he comes around and they join forces. Nope. Like, the old man like comes into his room and he just turns right back to him and says, F you. Like, I'm not doing any of this. Go away. I don't like you. That was annoying. And I thought there would be a turning point that I enjoyed, and there wasn't.
Well, there is at the end.
The very end. Like, it literally takes the very end. But at that point, I was so removed from his character that I was like, no. You don't deserve any of this. You shouldn't get it. He shouldn't like you. He has every reason to like walk away from you and ignore you forever because apparently he's very capable. Like the pickle guy, the American Pickle, is very capable of making his own business and doing his own thing. There's no reason why he should help you at this point. You are a very undesirable person.
Yeah.
And not nice. You should have buried him, but he didn't. So it's fine. I wouldn't say that you shouldn't watch this movie. I think it was more enjoyable than I expected. It just was aggravating in the middle. That's all.
Yeah.
I mean, I was involved with the movie. I watched it. I didn't ignore it. I didn't look at my phone. Normally, if I get uninterested in a movie, I will start looking at my phone. But I guess it made me aggravated. I was like attached to the characters enough to the point where my aggravation didn't make me want to do something else. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I guess that's good.
Yeah.
The writing's good. You said it was probably the greatest film of our generation, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, that's
man,
exactly what I said.
I can't agree with that.
No, I did not. All right, so I watched Cobra Kai season 3. It came out beginning of the year.
Oh yeah.
I'm a huge fan of the show.
I have
the
heard.
whole of the United States is a huge fan of the show.
I know.
It's one of the most popular shows.
I need to learn how to get on board with this.
You just have to watch it. That's all you have to do. So season 3 came out, and I did a true binge, man. Within 2 nights, I watched it.
All of it.
and they're only half-hour episodes, and I think there's 8 or 10. I don't even know, but
Okay. So you still watched 300 minutes of show in 2 nights.
Yeah, pretty much. I didn't sleep a lot. Season 3. Okay, what do I say about this? I'm not gonna try and spoil anything, and Jerry hasn't seen it, so there's no point in spending a lot of time on it.
I'm probably never going to get there.
I love this show because of the camp and the nostalgic value, and you have to just roll with it a little bit because there is stuff that is ridiculous. Of course.
Sure.
It's a show about karate. So
I mean, karate's serious.
Roving gangs of karate dojos fighting against each other in the school. It's ridiculous. I mean, it's a ridiculous premise, but they do it, man. And this show, it makes it work, and you love these characters, and the acting is great, and it's camp on purpose, and they do the best job of being aware of it, but somehow circumventing the tropes, or at least turning them around and making it layered enough that there's somehow like the adults are the ones, behaving badly, and the kids are the ones behaving well, and then it flip-flops, and then it flip-flops again. It's really well done show. And it really keeps you interested. I will say, season 3, I felt dragged a lot at certain points.
Oh, really?
I wasn't as engaged as I was in season 1 and 2. I think it was a lot slower. And
I know you really like season 2, don't you?
Yeah, season 2 is great. Season 3 was good. I'm not saying that. I enjoyed it a lot, but there were parts of it that dragged more than the other ones. But there's still a lot of great stuff in it, and it's just fun watching.
I wasn't aware
karate dojo gangs in California, in a rich part of California, like going at.
I wasn't even aware that they were like that. Season 3 was coming out this soon, or like I didn't know that season 2's been over long enough to where they already filmed and got done with another season. It was a complete surprise to me when I saw it pop up.
I mean, for anybody that's a fan. I was curious how they deal with his death in a kids movie, man. I'm not sure what we're talking about there. Anyway.
He's talking about Soul.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. We're past that. So, Cobra Kai. If anybody watches the show, there's a couple things that I'm not crazy about in season 3. I'm just not a fan of the main antagonist, which is Kreese. So, Kreese is, do you remember Karate Kid?
Oh yeah, the rough-looking guy.
Yes, and he was Johnny's teacher.
Yes, teacher. Yeah.
And he is just a psychopath, and the stuff that he gets away with teaching these kids, the violence that these children are perpetrating on each other, it's insane.
He has one move where they literally rip testicles off of the kids, right?
No.
Oh no, they don't. They like. You grab the
but there's
nuts,
serious injuries. There's comas involved. Like, it's a crazy show, but the acting is
great. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
I love this show, man. I love it. I can't get enough of it. I tore through season 3. I can't wait for more.
Season 3 wasn't your favorite, but it wasn't bad enough to where you would say where you're going to write it off forever.
Oh no, I'm invested in the show now. But
forever.
Yeah.
What if they came out and said we're going to do a season 5 before we do a season 4? Would you still be in?
Yeah.
Well,
if this show, it wouldn't surprise me if they're like, we're going to do season 4 in space.
They set a dojo up on Mars.
They set dojos up everywhere, man.
It's like, we're going to set a dojo up, Dojo Space Station, Cobra Kai Space.
I think you would really enjoy this show. I really, really think that you specifically would love this show.
I can't get through the episodes. I've tried. I think I made it through 3.
Just keep going.
Of the first season. But it just feels like there's so much more to enjoy than this show.
No.
For me.
It's like the number 1 show in the country.
For other people. That doesn't mean it's my number 1 show.
I'm telling you, you would like this show.
I am not that involved. You love karate stuff so much more than I do.
I don't know. Okay. All right.
I like Bruce Lee.
Let's go
he's
on.
cool.
Go on. You go ahead. You're up.
I'm not saying I don't like your show. I just don't necessarily want to watch it.
Okay, that's fine.
You don't have to hate me for it.
I don't hate you.
Why are you being so mean? I don't need to be the same person as you.
You need to listen to me, Jerry.
I have my entire life, I feel like. But I don't know. Maybe I'll ingest more of it.
I'll take you down the right path. Trust me.
I have always trusted
Let
you.
me be your Sherpa.
You've always done well for me. Like with Doctor Who. I'm sure there's more.
There's a lot more.
Right? I just remember Doctor Who. Like that changed my life. It really did.
And we don't watch it anymore.
I
That's
know.
a shame. Let's watch that. We're looking for new stuff to watch. Let's watch it.
That's what I need to get. You're right.
Where do you watch it?
I have no idea. It's a BBC show, so it has to be on.
It's got to be on something. It's on Netflix, right? I don't know if the new season's out yet, though.
I don't think it's on Netflix.
I don't know.
Amazon or Hulu?
We'll figure it out.
Peacock? Quibi? Disney Plus?
Not Quibi.
Definitely not Quibi. Oh, that's a news article for you.
We're not doing news articles.
Oh,
we got to
right.
finish this. We only got 30 minutes left.
30 minutes? Oh, yeah, we do. Okay. So the last thing that we were watching, Chris and I both. So I started doing this, and Chris tagged along and said, I'm going to watch all of it as well because you are doing this. And Amy and I sat down and watched the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We were going to do it all in one day. That was the big plan. Do it all in one day, and we had every like all mindset set to just like sit on the couch and watch like X amount of hours of movies. And we watched one, like started cooking some things, and then she gets called into work because she was on call for just one day on New Year's Day or Saturday or something. And she got called in to do like an appendix or something. So that ruined that day. And we only watched one movie. Then she came home. We watched the second one. That was a Sunday morning. So we watched the second one, and then we ended up watching the third one that afternoon. And I enjoy them. Amy enjoyed them. That was the first time Amy had ever seen any of them. I forgot so much about these movies. Like, there is so much story that is given to you through these movies. There are things that I have gripes about.
Oh, okay. Well, you said you were going to do it, and I'm an avid Lord of the Rings fan. I have been my whole life. Like, huge fan. But it had been a long time since I've gone back and watched those movies. Especially really sat down and watched them all the way through. I didn't do it all in one day, but I mean, I've seen them all 100 times. But watching them back again, I feel like that they're the type of movies you need to kind of watch once a year. You know, or
really?
Yeah, you just got to watch them because you always pick up on things. There was a lot that I also forgot about. I mean, not really, but I enjoyed seeing again. I just had the best time ever rewatching these movies. I'm going to tell you what, like it felt, and this is going to sound dumb, all right? It felt like a religious experience. Like
really?
Going back and watching
Holy
these
cow.
movies again.
I had a very good time too, just because Amy and I were sitting down and watching a movie and we're like not interrupted. We just got very lucky with the kids going to grandma's houses and us being able to sit and watch that amount of show, you know, like that time slot of show. We had the opportunity to do that, and it was very fun just being able to do that and not having any like regret or like stress thinking you should be doing something else, right? Like Amy and I both are the same way, where if we sit down and start watching something, we immediately have this like remorse that we think we need to be doing something productive.
Yeah.
But we watched 9 hours worth of TV and had none of that.
Yeah.
I mean, she went to work in between this, but there was nothing we could do about that.
So what's your gripes?
So my first gripe right off the bat is there should be no praise for Frodo at all. None. Zero.
Why?
The man would have been dead, or the Hobbit, I should say, not a man. The Hobbit would have been dead right off the bat if his good buddy Sam wasn't right there with him.
Yeah.
Sam is the savior of this kingdom.
Yeah,
100%.
That's established.
I just don't why in the movies, but everybody's like Frodo. And then if you weren't involved with Lord of the Rings at all, the first name that people bring up is like, oh, Frodo will carry the ring. No, you need to talk about Sam, the dude that made that guy live. Forced him to live.
Correct. Everybody loves Sam, but you have to acknowledge the effort to carry
the ring.
The torment, mental anguish.
Right, but if he had nobody else there with him, he would have been killed right away.
It doesn't matter. The point is nobody else could do it.
I understand that. I think Sam could have.
It basically killed him.
Almost.
No, it did. In fact, I mean, that's why he left Middle Earth.
He left, but he's not dead.
Well, I mean,
It's the realm beyond realms. It's like the realm of... I read about it afterwards because I was like...
He goes to Valinor, which is...
Yeah.
It's not... It's...
All the ring bearers have to eventually go...
They don't have to, but they're allowed to. So Valinor is the... So a lot of people misconstrue it as thinking it's the afterlife of some kind.
No, it's like a spirit realm.
It's not even. No, it's just a... Okay, so in the history of Middle Earth, right? Or actually, Middle Earth is just a continent on a planet. Yes. And Valinor is another continent on that same planet. And at one time, there was a continent in between that connected them that men lived on. I think it was called Numenor or something along those lines. And this is pre the Lord of the Rings movies. But that falls and it sinks. Basically, it's meant to be kind of like Atlantis.
Yeah.
In theory. So Valinor, at that point,
you have to sail to.
Yeah, but it actually gets moved. And it's basically a different planet.
Huh.
So at one time they all existed on one Earth, and that Earth was flat. All right. And then after the fall of Numenor, I think it's called, Valinor actually becomes essentially another planet, separate from, I can't remember the name of the planet. It's not Earth.
Yeah.
So you can't not anybody can just access it.
Right, and you're not allowed to.
Right.
Like, they're not allowed to even be
that
there.
Is like that's where elves go.
Yeah, but there's also there's different angelic beings there.
Yeah, well, like Gandalf. So the Maya, I think they're called.
Yes.
His race, basically, they can go there. They're angelic beings, and then also the gods live there.
Yeah.
So
because when Gandalf fell with that Borg, what's that thing called? Bolrog. When he fell down with that and ended up killing it, he says, and when he becomes Gandalf the White, he says he goes to that place, and when he's done,
he's actually brought back by essentially. So how there is a one God that is the creator.
Yes.
But then there are basically, think of them as like the Greek gods underneath that.
Okay.
That were also created by that creator. So they're all there. All right. And elves are immortal, so they're there permanently now.
Right,
once
unless they give up their thing,
they're still immortal. They're just immortal on Middle Earth. Then they just can't go there.
Can't go where?
To Valinor. They're not allowed to go.
No,
to
I
Valinor.
thought, Liv Tyler's character, I thought she was gonna die.
She did die. The only way that elves can die is they can be killed, or in her case, she died of a broken heart after Aragorn died.
No, I know, but when she gave up her thing that said she was going to be like a mortal being like him.
No, she would have been immortal. That was the problem. That is what her father was trying to tell her. You're going to stay the same age, and everybody's going to die around you.
Well, I know, but then I thought she had a discussion with Aragorn and said, I would much rather die with you than live and see you die.
I don't know, but no, she's still immortal, just on Middle Earth.
I must have misinterpreted that.
At the time of that movie, Legolas is over 2,000 years old.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of them are.
He's actually older than Gandalf.
Yeah, because it was 2,500 years after the ring was it was in that creek when.
500 years. That's how long Smeagol had the ring, was 500 years.
Holy smokes. He had it that long?
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah. So anyway, that's we're getting deep.
I know, but that's the discussion I wanted to have because there's a lot of it that is hard to understand. You know, there's just.
Let me enlighten you then.
So this is part of my gripe. So another one of my gripes is that I understand a lot more of it because I read about it, obviously. But in Amy's case, like she's never going to go and read about Lord of the Rings. So in watching those movies, I don't feel like you can understand them correctly just by watching the movie. Like they don't.
Absolutely. They don't expand on.
No.
But you don't need it for those movies. You can,
it still raises so many questions watching those movies.
But your regular viewer can be content and going, okay, he's a wizard, period. These are elves.
No,
period.
There's still a lot of holes that raise questions for a standard viewer.
Like, can humans mate with hobbits?
Yes.
Yes,
yeah,
they can.
Absolutely.
They're all humanoid.
They're all humans. Do their children have big feet?
Elves are humans.
No, they're not. They're elves.
No, they're all
humanoid. I understand like the body type.
No, they're all humans. There's the race of men.
Yes.
There's the race of elves. There's the race of hobbits, and there's the race of dwarves. But they are all Homo sapiens. They can crossbreed.
Really?
Yes. So the elves were made. They were the first children of God.
Okay.
Essentially, and I think the god's name like Argo or something like that. But they're the first ones created. Men are created. There's no. As far as I know, they don't really know how or when the hobbits are created.
What about dwarves?
But they're like common ancestors. Dwarves are different. Okay. So dwarves, one of the sons of God, basically. So one of the demigods, which would be like one of your Greek gods, basically was like a manufacturer. He was like that Greek god that's hammering stuff. Okay. And he actually got like a little ahead of himself. And he's like, he created dwarves in his image to like teach them all of his shit. And then when like one god found out about it, he was pissed.
Really?
And I don't remember the rest of the story, but they're actually not created. They're actually separate, the dwarves.
So they're not Homo sapiens. Obviously.
I don't know about that, but
they're just not as equal as the others, apparently.
There's more to it. I can't remember.
Have you read any of the Silmarillion?
Yeah, that's where I got some of this, a lot of this, but most of it you got to get by going to like the Lord of the Rings wikis and research.
People are so into this.
Tolkien was into it. The amount that this guy did, this is all he did basically. He was like a professor at Oxford.
Yeah.
And he just figured out the intricacies of all of this. So
I saw his desk and like there was pens and like handwritten notes and stuff up in
him and C.S. Lewis. They both worked together. They were at the same college. They were both at Oxford, I believe.
But there's a college up in Illinois that they were both at too, because that's
Wheaton?
Wheaton? Wheaton. That's what it's Wheaton Christian College. But I was there and they have a whole like display of all of their stuff. And I was reading handwritten things by Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. It was just it's pretty amazing.
C.S. Lewis.
It's like crazy to think. In his
C.S.
desk
Lewis took a lot from Tolkien.
Oh, absolutely.
He totally. But they were friends,
in a writing.
So
they were in a writing guild.
Yeah.
There was a guild of writers, and I can't remember right now because I can't remember anything on the podcast of who was in that writing guild. If you know, comment on Facebook or wherever and fill us in. But there was like 4 or 5 writers that would come together and literally share stories. It's unbelievable to think that this caliber of writer had others that they were talking to and like sharing stories with and then gaining story from, and seeing. So they had a big map of Middle Earth and everything that he hand drew on like a big map. Like he hand drew a map himself, and it's on display there. All of this stuff blew me away that I wasn't expecting it. And I walked into this building not even knowing that this was there. And then the lady this is like what she lived for, was having a person walk into this building not knowing it was there, because she like immediately started glowing and was like, let me tell you all about this stuff. And she literally gave me a tour of everything that was there. It's awesome. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So no, I mean, yeah, there's so much backstory you can go and figure out. So this takes place, I think it's the third Age of Men, right? Or is it the fourth Age of Men?
I don't know.
So I was reading this thing that it was basically the timeline. So the idea behind all this is stuff that happened here, however many years ago. So like now the Earth is in like the seventh Age of Men or eighth Age of Men.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I guess I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
So
when they leave at the end of the movie, that when the last ship goes, and
Yes.
Frodo goes. Now there are more people that go after that. Legolas,
well, Sam does.
Sam goes after his wife dies,
And his
and
kids.
Legolas builds a ship, and him and Gimli go. Gimli's the only dwarf
really?
to go. Yeah, and he only gets to go because he at that point cannot be separated from Legolas because they are like one and the same. They're
Really?
like best friends, so they both get to go.
Okay.
But what was I talking about? Yes. So when they all go at the end, the last of the elves, basically, they're like, "That's it now. Now it's the Age of Men."
Oh, I see. Now it's the age. They say that
Yeah.
like the Age of Men is starting. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that makes a lot of sense.
But no, there's still after that though. There
there's
are
a lot
still
of things.
dwarves and hobbits and elves, but like they're dwindling.
Yes.
That's all dwindling. They all like, no, it's time to go. This the Age of Men is starting.
So here's a question that I have, and Amy brought it up too. Is like, so if Gandalf is so powerful, like, why didn't he do more? Why didn't he emit more power to protect people? Or
I don't know if he's necessarily as powerful as you might think or expect him to be. So he's not like some all-powerful force. Now, there is one scene in Gondor where the Nazgûl start attacking, and earlier in that movie, he shines a light to scare them away. And I wondered to myself why he didn't do that again in the city to repel them.
yes,
But he's not like he is, and Nolan pointed out, he is an angelic being, is what they're considered, essentially, like a demigod. But they're not all powerful. I mean, they're not as powerful as you might think.
no, I don't necessarily think he can overcome everything, but I feel like he has wizardly ability.
What, though? I
That-
mean, you haven't shown a lot of specific wizardly abilities that would be...
He does, though, like in certain aspects where he's like muttering spells or like muttering.
Well, he talks to the moth, so he can talk to animals. That's not necessarily going to help
No,
you.
there was different things where he's like, I don't know specifically. I guess I do. I think of him as relatively powerful. I mean, he's more powerful than anybody else there.
So his race of, it starts with an M. They were sent there basically by God to, like, and Nolan just pointed out, to act as guides. Basically, that was their role,
And he does that.
and that's his role there, and that's why he was sent back after he got defeated, or he got killed. Basically,
Yeah.
that's why he was sent back to finish his job, to act as a guide. So it kind of throws an aspect of fate and what is predetermined. I mean, it throws a lot of those questions up in the air. The same questions that we all deal with every day when you deal with religion.
Yeah, you're right. You would assume, I guess most people would just assume that he would use more ability
Maya, that's right.
if he could. But he doesn't.
He does use a lot of ability, but he doesn't. There's no point in that where he displays that he has some like huge, okay. So there's more in the books.
But why doesn't he follow Frodo? What's the purpose of him not going with Frodo? Because you would feel like that would be the best chance for Frodo to survive, is if Gandalf went with him rather than stay back to fight other people.
I mean, we know why nobody else can go with Frodo, because they can't resist the ring.
Absolutely.
Either can Gandalf.
He
knows that.
He knows that,
He's
but
scared by it.
He keeps it covered up. I think he has more of an ability to stay away from the ring than anybody else.
I think he knows that he, at some point, would be too tempted either to take it or to take over, or he would be too conspicuous That's the whole point, is the hobbits can get through undetected.
Okay, that right there makes more sense to me than anything else.
Yeah, and Nolan points out too, he would take the ring, and so would anybody. That's the point. The hobbits have an innate ability to withstand the ring's,
Right.
issues.
Yeah.
Now, they've established a little bit too that dwarves also have a pretty good ability to resist the temptations of the ring, but because the dwarves had rings too. There was rings all over the place. There's lots of rings. There's only the one ring,
Right?
But there are other rings. And the other rings also warped the minds of the men. Obviously, they all turned into Nazgul basically because they couldn't handle the rings. I mean,
right.
And in the case of the dwarves, it made them lust for treasure, lust for gold, and that essentially was what their downfall was. And being attacked by Smaug and other dragons who were agents of Mordor, essentially.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the hobbits had a unique ability to carry that ring without, with the most perseverance.
Except for,
and they're really small. I don't think
for Bilbo.
I don't think. He had it for a long time.
He did have it for a really long time, and it kept him from aging, is what Gandalf says.
Now,
until he gave it up, but he gets very intense about that ring in the first movie.
I don't think they do a good job of expressing in this movie just how small hobbits are. So they're like
2 foot.
Yeah, 2-3 foot tall.
That's what I've heard, or that's what I've read, is that they were like 2 to 3 foot tall. But no, you think of them a lot bigger than that.
Yeah,
like at least 4 foot. I guess if that looks as big. But I do love it when they have like a shot of like a large area, like pulled out shot of a large area, and you see the little hobbits running around like children.
Yeah,
I think that's great.
There's something
I laugh every time.
I can't remember one of the actors. I don't know if it's Elijah Wood, right?
Yeah,
or it was the other dude. One of them's taller than Ian McKellen.
No.
Yeah.
Elijah Wood's definitely not.
Not Elijah.
He's a relatively short.
One
person.
of them hobbits is actually tall. Well, the guy who plays Gimli is like 6'2".
He is?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So anywhere, and it's basically just him in close-ups.
It's
Everything
just a face,
else is a stunt double.
It's his face makeup that is all you see.
Yeah, they don't do a good job in establishing like how durable the dwarves are, because a lot of the movie you're thinking like, these guys are going to get their asses kicked.
Yeah.
But they're almost like superhumanly durable.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dwarves are.
Yeah.
But and so are elves, obviously.
Yeah.
But what about Aragorn? He's not. He's just a human.
Yeah, he's a human derived from a line of humans that are like Aragorn lives hundreds of years.
He does?
Yeah, and I think Nolan said it earlier. He's descendant from those Numorians, so the Atlanteans, essentially.
Right.
So it might have been a different like offshoot of mankind.
Oh yeah, Aragorn has Numorian blood as well.
Yeah, so they are more durable apparently, because I think he lives a couple hundred years.
Oh, he says. Nolan says also Bilbo is the only person in the history of the ring who gave it up willingly. Like just willing.
I mean, even Frodo didn't.
Frodo did not. Yeah, he just lost it because Smeagol took it from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, Frodo failed miserably.
I mean, I don't know how you can say that. He didn't really.
He was going to.
He was going to fail. Yeah.
He was absolutely going to fail. The only reason he didn't is because his finger was chewed off.
And Sam.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So yes, he bared the weight of the ring all the way.
But it warped his mind. It took everything out of him. That's the point.
I guess. So they're not completely like impervished to the ring. Like they are affected by it.
Well, I think that there's a certain aspect of as Sauron grows in power, so does the ring.
But it was only 13 months from the time they left.
Right, but think of the amount Sauron grew in power, and also the closer you get to him, the more that ring grows in power.
How many times he put it on his freaking finger? That's another gripe I have. Like Frodo knows what happens when he puts it on his finger. He knows that they see him. Sauron sees him. The Nazgul see him. Like everything is seeing him. as soon as he puts that freaking ring on his finger, and he chooses to do it multiple times.
Well, it's that or be dead.
A couple times it's that or be dead, but there are multiple times where he's like, where I just felt like he really didn't need to put that on the finger at that point in time. Like there was no reason for it. And then they see him and he just keeps it on, standing there scared, running around. Take it off your finger, man. You don't need it on there. I wouldn't have put it on my finger.
What else?
That's all I got.
So which one is your favorite out of the three?
Out of the three.
And by the way, I'm watching Battle of the Five Armies now. The last Hobbit movie. I've watched.
Oh, you are? I haven't ever watched those.
What?
I think I watched the first Hobbit, but after that, I don't think I've seen any of them.
I think they're pretty good.
Really? I just heard so many people be like negative.
It's not Lord of the Rings, but they're pretty good. Anyway, let's give it of the three.
Man, oh man, oh man. I think the very first one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that is not my favorite one.
Why?
Well, I think the second one's my favorite one.
It would be either the first or the second. The last one is my least.
I mean,
favorite.
I love all of them, but I think the second one with the Battle of Helm's Deep, and you got Gandalf coming, the sunlight blinding the orcs coming over the mountain with the riders of Rohan.
Okay, yeah, you're filling me in on stuff that I might have forgot about.
Yeah.
And do you realize? Did you see how I told you like Carl Urban is?
Yeah. I can't remember
Emery or Aermore or something like that. He's like the leader of the Riders of Rohan. As soon as he came up, I was like,
I love how they have names. They're like the Rohirrim.
Yeah. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, man, I know that guy. Who is that guy?
I didn't even, you told me, and I didn't even catch it until about halfway through. And I'm like, oh, man, it looks nothing like him, really.
It's just like a little bit of his face just caught me. And I was like, man, I know him. So I looked it up.
So young.
And I start scrolling through on IMDb, all of the actors, and it said Carl Urban. And I was like looking at him and looking at the screen. I was like, it's fucking Carl Urban. Like, that's the dude. But, yeah, maybe the second one was. I love the first one just because the scene that does it for me, like every aspect of the entire movie, the whole scene that does it for me is when Gandalf stops that, what's it called? A Balrog, where he says, "You shall not pass," and slams his staff down. I love that scene.
So in the book,
everything about it.
Before they get to that point, when the orcs are chasing them, he casts a spell of protection that's supposed to like stop the orcs so they can get out of the next doorway or wherever they need to go.
See?
And it takes like all of his energy.
I love that.
And he is like hobbled after that. So then when they get to the bridge, he can do nothing else but other than just crumble the bridge.
Oh, why did they not add that?
I don't know. Well, they might have in the extended version, but I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I love
Peter
that
Jackson
aspect
claims
of it.
he's got like hours more footage.
Really?
That they're waiting to release an even more extended version down the road.
For real?
Yeah.
Holy smokes. So what are they doing with the TV show on Amazon?
I don't think anybody knows the answer to that question yet.
Oh, really? You don't know anything about it?
No. Oh, Nolan says Two Towers easy. Yeah, Two Towers has kind of always been my favorite.
And Sam's speech. He's right. Sam's speech is amazing.
The worst part about the last movie
Two Towers is
the
pretty good.
very ending. It's so weird when they were all running into that bedroom and like laughing in slow motion.
Yes. So
and then after that,
that's where Amy had the biggest problem. Is like, so that all happened, the whole bedroom thing, right? And they're all laughing and it's quiet and you don't hear, or it's just like music playing. You hear nobody speak. But then it goes to like the next scene.
And then there's like
the next
20
scene,
more minutes.
And then the next scene. And she's like, this is the longest ending of a movie I've ever seen in my life, because every scene you think is going to be the last. Like, it's okay, it's done. Nope, let's do another one.
Yeah.
And that was aggravating. I guess I agree. You've swayed me to the Two Towers. You're right. There's so much.
But the Battle of Gondor is great too. The Battle of Pelennor Fields with the big Oliphants or whatever they call them. And Legolas. And
well, that's true. And the third one, but
what's the other girl's name? Not Eowyn Harwin. No,
the king's
the
king's daughter.
It's his niece, I think.
Okay. Here's another thing. Like the love affair, kind of the small love affair between her and Aragorn.
One-sided, but yeah.
Very one-sided. But you have to think, like at the end of that movie, when Liv Tyler, what's her elvish name? Arwen comes back, and like she's behind the little banner, and she sneaks out, and then they immediately start kissing. She has to be in the crowd there somewhere.
No, she is. They show her. She's banging Faramir at that point.
Is she?
Her and Faramir
I guess I
hook
never
up.
Caught on to that.
Yeah.
I don't remember
when
that
they're
at
crowning
all.
him king.
But you'd have to
you
think.
see her and Faramir next to each other, and they're a couple.
I didn't catch that at all.
Yeah.
How did they become a couple?
They don't show it in the show. But
No, because at that point I didn't even know that they even
like,
spoke to each other.
Main characters need to get together.
But Amy and I both were like, man, I bet you the other chick is pissed.
I love that scene where she walks up to him when he's ready to he's getting on a horse, I think, to go to the ghosts place.
Oh yeah, to get the Army of the Dead.
And she's already said like to several other people, she's like, I'm in love with this guy.
Love that.
She even
man.
says it to Theoden, and he's like, you made a good choice. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. And then he walks up and she says something to him, and he's kind of like looking at her, and she's like, don't you know? And he's like, this isn't happening.
Yeah.
And like, it's just a real awkward moment, and I love it.
Yeah. He's like, what are you talking about here? Like, I got a girl.
Yeah.
You know,
she's on a boat, but
right. Well, she's supposed to be.
There's more with her in the extended edition. She comes back. She's in the movies way more than she's in the books. First off, she has a very
really?
almost no
I was
role in
gonna
the
say
books.
like you don't see her that much in the movies. To be honest,
to be fair, it's been a long time since I've read those books, but I don't even remember her as a character in the books.
You see her in the first movie. You see her very sparingly in the second, and only at the end of the third.
You know who I love in that movie is Cate Blanchett's character.
Oh yeah, the wood elf or
I don't remember.
angel, wood angel or something. She's
an
very
elf,
good.
But yeah.
Yeah, she is very good, and I like what she tells Frodo and how Frodo remembers her later with the whole tarantula thing. Another big gripe: why the hell can you not hang on to that bottle? They dropped that bottle of light so many times, and I know it's like build suspense, but damn, Frodo dropped it about 9 times. Sam picks it up. You think Sam's gonna come in and like win the day? He frickin' drops it. Like, what is this? Why do you give him a slippery bottle? Like, put some Gorilla Tape on the outside of that thing, or like some sandpaper, and hang on to the bottle of sunlight.
That's another thing in the extended edition they go into a lot more is they show her giving him that stuff. And they talk more about like the armor that he got. They show her giving him that light.
Yes, there's so many questions about the armor.
They just pull it out in the non-extended version. He basically just pulls out. He's like, "Oh yeah, I got this light now." Well, but they have a whole scene where she gives him that stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you don't see a scene where she's giving it to him, but he's leaving on the boat and has it in his hand, and she starts to say like, let this be the light in the darkest times or whatever. And that's when Amy and I paused it a few times, and she kept asking me, what did he get? Like, what does he have? What's she talking about? And then she rewinds it, and like we watched it again. And I said, at first I was like, oh, it's the ring. She's talking about the ring. And then I was like, no, there's something in his hand. Like, obviously it's that bottle. Something's in his hand. Like, he's got a bottle. I don't know. And it was really frustrating for Amy because I didn't know the answer because I had only seen him a couple times. And I didn't have an answer for her. So we went like the whole movie until the tarantula scene. And then I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about.
Right.
Like, now we get it.
So, yeah, no, I mean...
But it's super slippery Pyrex, apparently, that he's hanging on to, and it needs to be roughened up a bit.
Yeah.
So he has a better grip.
Well, I mean, after seeing those movies 100 times, I could watch them again right now.
Absolutely. I would too. I don't know if Amy would. I don't think she enjoyed them as much as I did. I think the first 2 movies she enjoyed, but the third one was work for her to get through. It's
dark, man. The third
one.
one.
It really is. And
it's frustrating because he keeps getting set back.
Yes. That's what I was going to say is like, it's such a long time for him to get through Mordor, like to get to where he needs to go for throwing the ring in. She's like, man, like this could take 6 more movies for him to go 200 feet, And I agree. It does feel that way. But like I explained to her, I was like, that's how hard it is for him. That's the weight of the ring on him. That's like he has no more left in his tank whatsoever to even move. Sam carries him for 20 miles, it looks like. Yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It made me really excited for the whatever show they're making.
Yeah.
Like, I want more Lord of the Rings.
So there's a lot more after that in the books. So,
what's the TV? Well, I already asked, but do you know if it's pertaining to like during the time of?
No.
It's
I know
after it.
No, it's a prequel. It's set in the Third Age of Men, I believe, or the Second Age of Men.
So it's before even Bilbo.
Oh yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. Which I'm excited about because by the time you get to Lord of the Rings, the elves are dwindling. The dwarves are dwindling. So that's what I want more of. And that's what we're going to get more of.
Right.
But in the books, after Frodo leaves, the rest of the book's about Sam. He's the main character. Mm-hmm. And they say it's almost like they set up for sequels because they say, like, Frodo gives them the book. He's like, the rest of the book is it's for you to write.
Right. It's for you to write. You write your own story.
That's the first time I ever watched this and go, like, I think they were setting up sequels. And then they didn't do it. So, but what happens is...
well, and his kids are older when his wife dies. Like, it's years.
Yeah, and
years after.
He becomes the main character. Saruman comes back to the Shire and ransacks the Shire.
Whatever happens to Saruman? I mean, he was defeated, but he was not killed.
Okay.
He's just, like, left up in the tower?
Yeah, he's not killed then. In the books, he comes back and starts ransacking the Shire.
Oh.
I think if I remember, it's him and that Wormtail guy, but it might just be him. I believe he comes back, and I could be completely wrong, but I believe he comes back as a rainbow wizard.
Okay.
I don't know. And Sam and Merry and Pippin and those guys,
Fight.
Yeah, they take him on, and they kill him, and he's never allowed. He's killed there, but never allowed to go to Valinor because he's banned. So he
should be.
But he can't die. He's immortal. So he loses his mortal body, but his soul
is just like...
His ghost has to live for all of eternity without being able to do anything.
Wow.
And so is Sauron, because he's the same as Gandalf and Saruman. He's just a Maya. He's the same race.
I guess I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So why is he he's only a soul at the time because he was killed?
No, he actually had, I believe, they didn't do this in the movies, and they did in the book, though. I think he did have a physical form.
They just didn't do it in the movies.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything. He wasn't like a force to be reckoned with. But once
the eye was in the books, wasn't it?
Yeah. But I think he has an actual physical form. But once the ring is destroyed, he's destroyed.
Yeah.
So he is also just a spirit wandering Middle Earth for the rest of time.
Soul.
Yeah.
Wow. What a nightmare that would be.
Well, there you go.
I mean, yeah.
Orcs, by the way, are also humans. I don't know if you know that.
I didn't.
They can also crossbreed with elves and men and hobbits.
But I thought they were born out of the dirt.
The Uruk-hai, I don't know the ins and outs, but I believe and I'm pretty sure that orcs are also a variation of humans.
I would say that orcs are a very shockingly ugly thing. Amy had a hard time with that. She's like, they are hideous, and I don't want to look at the screen. I don't want to look at them because they are like. And that's at first I was like, yeah, the boys can watch this, and then I started watching. I was like, no, they won't. They won't enjoy this.
Oh, I think I would show it to my kids for sure.
It's very dark.
So maybe they're not humans. I believe I read that orcs are actually humans.
I thought orcs were orcs. That's their own race. It's not a humanoid being at all.
I'm telling you. Okay, I can read that to you right now if you want to. Orcs were the primary foot soldiers of the Dark Lord's army. Oh man, pop-ups, you know?
Oh my gosh. Don't you have a blocker?
They were created by the first Dark Lord Morgoth before the First Age and served him and later his successors in their quest to dominate Middle-earth. Many orcs, along with fallen Maya and other evil servants of Melkor, survived in the deep caves and pits, chambers, and tunnels. Soldiers of the Dark Lord's army. What are you doing?
Sorry, I clicked on the video and it started playing.
You know what? We'll have
gosh. Don't you have a blocker?
They were created by the first Dark Lord
What are you doing
Morgoth
here?
before the First Age. Okay. We're not going to read through that all, but I think they are, in some way, shape, or form, human.
I don't think they are. I'm going to tell you they're not.
Okay.
I thought orcs were their own thing, like separate from humans. They got to be. They pulled them out of mud.
Yeah, that's true. And then like...
They were in a sack in the mud, and they ripped them out of it.
That was the Uruk-hai.
Those are different than the orcs that are like...
Uruk-hai are crossbred orcs with something else. Goblins, maybe?
Goblins, yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to look into that more.
Interesting.
Oh, Uruk-hai were crossbreeds of orcs and men.
That's where you're getting it.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Anyway.
Either way, it was a very fun watch. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm excited for what's to come of Lord of the Rings. I hadn't watched it in a long time, and honestly, I haven't watched it as much as you, obviously.
Orcs are corrupted elves, says Nolan.
Really?
Yes.
That makes more sense.
So they are, in that sense. I'm not going to say humans, because men and elves are
Homo
different
sapien.
races, but they're both humans.
They're both Homo sapien.
Yeah.
Yes, that makes sense.
Or not necessarily Homo sapiens, but you know how like at one time there were Neanderthals and Homo sapiens,
Right.
and they could crossbreed.
Yes.
It'd be the same.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Gotcha.
I get it.
So Homo sapiens might be the men. Homo neanderthalis or whatever would be like the elves.
Yeah.
Homo erectus. There was a bunch of those
Yeah.
early humans.
And they're all alive at the same time.
There was a point in time where several of them lived at the same time. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go with that.
They're all derived from a common ancestor. Now, in the Lord of the Rings mythos, they were not derived from common ancestors. They were created
Yeah.
by a god.
Right.
So,
I get it. I like that. That's all I got. We're not doing any news now because we're at 2 hours and 17 minutes. So
yeah, we got to go.
it is the end of 110.
Yeah. In like a lion, out like a lamb. This one.
Yeah. Yes, it is. So
For Snarf Talk this week, I've been Chris.
I am Jerry.
See ya.